This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Mostly sunny, 29 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
Well, Ukraine has come under attack. Russian forces have launched a major assault, firing missiles and rockets from the sea and air, targeting military assets. Russia says it's destroyed more than 70 military targets, while the Ukrainian military claims to have shot down at least 6 Russian aircraft. There are reports Russian forces have attacked a hospital in the Donetsk region. Russian forces have seized the Chernobyl power plant as Britain and America step up sanctions in response to the invasion. Brett McLeod reports.
The site of the world's worst nuclear power plant disaster is now in Russian hands after they pushed back Ukrainian forces just 2 hours by road from the capital, Kyiv. In response, US President Biden has announced every asset Russia has in America will be frozen. Boris Johnson has unveiled to the British Parliament a raft of new sanctions on Russian banks and oligarchs, as well as a ban on the national airline Aeroflot. The European Union is holding an emergency meeting in Brussels on further sanctions, with some former Soviet states fearful Vladimir Putin's military ambitions extend beyond Ukraine's borders, the future of Europe itself facing its greatest uncertainty since 1945.
Global stocks are in turmoil in the wake of Russia's invasion. Europe's stock market has tumbled nearly 4%, while Russia's ruble has slumped nearly 7%, and there were record falls of 30% on Moscow's stock exchange. Oil prices have soared past $100 a barrel for the first time since 2014. The push is on to put an Australian astronaut back into space. It's part of a $65 million boost to create more investment and high-tech jobs in the sector. The mission will be coordinated through the Australian Space Agency in Adelaide. The results from the latest Bank SA monitor are out. Consumer confidence is at its lowest level in 2 years, while business confidence has also dropped since last October's survey. The bank's David Firth says it's more than just the effects of Omicron that have impacted results.
SA businesses and consumers has decreased due to the ongoing impact of Omicron, but it's actually the consumer's perception of a decrease in business activity that's sort of having the biggest impact on consumer confidence.
There are renewed concerns about the Queen's health after she cancelled more virtual audiences. Her Majesty was diagnosed with COVID just under a week ago. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge will visit Jamaica as part of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee Tour. Wills and Kate will also visit Belize and the Bahamas for 8 days next month. And the $120 million Powerball went off last night, but there was no luck for South Aussie players. The winning tickets coming from New South Wales and WA. Now to FIVEaa Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty. 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
We didn't win last night, so we're back here, Tom Wren.
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way, Mel, but hopefully next week. There's always next week. Let's start with football this time, and the Crows and Port Adelaide will get a good look at their progress in the pre-season today when they play practice matches on the Gold Coast. Several youngsters across both clubs will get an opportunity to impress, among them Josh Rochelle, Jake Saligo and Jackson Mead for the Power. Well, Essendon has granted former captain Neil Danaher legend status in the Bombers Hall of Fame. Danaher was one of 4 people to be elevated to legend status. The others, the late club doctor Bruce Reid and former players Dustin Fletcher and Gavin Wanganeen. And Wanganeen says his love of footy endures.
Sure, we'd like to see a bit more of the early 90s style of footy where we kick it a little bit longer. There's more of the high-flying marks, but it's still a beautiful game, isn't it? And I love footy. It's in my blood. I just love it, and I can't really knock it. You know, I just think when it gets to near September, and it brings you to life.
Meantime, Sydney ruckman Sam Naismith has been transferred to the inactive list and won't feature this season as he recovers from a 3rd knee reconstruction. One game in the NBL overnight with the Cairns Taipans recording a 73-69 point win against Brisbane. The Adelaide 36ers will be in action tonight when they take on Illawarra. And there's 7 games in the NBA today with Paddy Mills' Brooklyn Nets taking on the Boston Celtics, while Josh Giddey's Oklahoma will play host to the Phoenix Suns. And in some soccer to finish, Adelaide United's players will train today ahead of tomorrow night's clash against Central Coast. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now the FIVEaa forecast.
Switch and save on your car service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
Mostly sunny, 29 today, sunny tomorrow, 29, and Sunday the same again. Right now it's 18. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Check out Gliderol Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors, gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Friday on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up on the program this morning, we'll keep you up to date with the situation in Ukraine, hoping to cross there very shortly on the ground to get a sense of what it's like there at the moment. And we'll keep you abreast of any developments. The US President Joe Biden has just spoken a short time ago. Boris Johnson before him. You'll hear them here all on 5AA Breakfast over the course of the morning. We'll speak also with the Australian Minister for Defence Materials and Science and Technology. Melissa Price is actually in town today to make an announcement about South Australia and Adelaide's role in the Australian space race and putting an Australian into space for the first time since 2004. We'll talk to her about that, but obviously in the current environment, both her caps are relevant. Phil Curry in the nation's capital on the federal government's response to all that's going on. And we're going to talk a lot today about a historic moment tomorrow in South Australia with the very final session ever of the mainline drive-in at Gepps Cross. It is the end of an era. We'll send some more people off on the day, but we'll speak to some of the people that have worked there over decades and decades and been contributors to that wonderful location. Speaking of locations, our quarantined correspondent is David Penberthy. Good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, everybody. Still here in the study. I must admit, I'm actually enjoying the change of scenery because last year was it last year or it was the year before? It was both years, wasn't it? It's been 2 years during which we've had to do broadcasting from home. I was up in the attic last year and the year before, which involves climbing up a fairly perilous set of circular wrought iron stairs, which, when negotiated first thing in the morning, can be something of a challenge. But I'm in the my makeshift study / spare room, climbing over empty boxes of Christmas presents and Christmas paper, and everyone's got a room in the house that's just the dumping zone. This is it. I could hold the laptop up and spin it around to give the live stream viewers a sense of just how genuinely squalid our existence is, but I won't because I'm worried I might unplug the computer. But yeah, like many South Aussies, like many other Aussies, just getting through it at the moment. It's all going fine. The kids have been good. Kate's good. But yeah, geez, I tell you what, like, how depressing is the world right now? It's so hard to comprehend the speed, the brazenness, and the audacity of what's been happening in the last 24 hours in Ukraine. I did a spot on Sky News last night with Chris Kenny. I go on there every Thursday. He's got me going on there, particularly with the state election coming up. And I just said, like, I think sometimes in the West, you sort of make an assessment of other people with this sort of naive hope that they have some goodness in them. And the way Putin has behaved just shows utter disregard and contempt for humanity. He's just totally immediately ensconced himself as a complete war criminal. Just extraordinary.
It was amazing to watch. When we're obviously doing it from thousands and thousands of kilometres away. Jeff Parry is covering it for Channel 7 in Kiev and joins us now on 5AA Breakfast. Jeff, good morning to you.
G'day, boys. How you going?
We're good, mate, but more importantly, how are you? Where are you, and what's the scene?
I'm west of Kiev. I'm in a place called Lviv. It's another big city. But obviously, everyone was pretty shocked, I think, at what's transpired. The Americans were saying it's going to happen, it's going to happen. A lot of people thought, it'll never happen. He wouldn't be that stupid. And then he's just sent the troops in, and he's been posturing for weeks and weeks, putting 120,000, now 200,000 troops around Ukraine, and then decided while the UN Security Council was meeting to flick the switch and sent them in.
What did you see in the last 12 hours, Jeff, or what have you heard? Have you been in the vicinity of any of the missile strikes or anything like that?
There was one we went looking for today. It was a radar facility just north of where I am in Lviv. There's another one that hit the airport just to the south. But most of the strikes have been on eastern cities. Kiev in particular, that's the seat of government, so Putin wants them out. And they've been, and it's also because that's where the government buildings are, that's where the military headquarters are. So they've been hitting. That's why they've been hitting that. The Russians deny that they're targeting cities. The Ukrainians say that the Russians are bombing hospitals. So I mean, that's the fog of war. But there's some big fighting being going on in the Chernobyl area. We've heard just a short time ago that Russia has actually captured the old nuclear power station. Didn't even know it was defended because it is that is what it is, and there were some people there. They've taken them hostage, but I don't know why you would want that. But it sounds like it's more strategic than anything else, and that they are sort of mounting up for a crack at Kiev.
Jeff, we saw those shocking scenes of all those poor families jumping into their cars and trying to get out of the capital, Kiev, as fast as they could. Has it surprised people? Because there seemed to be an expectation that Putin basically wanted to regain control and sovereignty over those eastern parts of Ukraine where there's a large number of Russian loyalists. The fact that he's attacked the capital, he's attacked cities to the north, he's attacked cities to the west of the country. I mean, one of the attacks I was watching last night apparently was only 70 kilometres from Poland. Like, it looks like an immediate all-out assault on the country rather than an attempt to carve off the eastern bits that he thinks should rightly belong to Russia.
Yeah, well, I mean, sort of, when he declared that those Luhansk and Donetsk, those two sort of separatist areas over in the east, were independent of Ukraine, he also said, basically, Ukraine is not a country at all. They don't recognise it. It was a creation of the old Soviets, and it didn't really exist. So then he called for the denazification of it, which was quite extraordinary, and decided to take the whole lot. I mean, that's obviously has to have been his aim all along. But some of the things he said to the world, sort of begged belief, really. One of the claims was that Ukraine was going to develop its own nuclear weapons. Well, that's easier said than done. But he's just fabricated everything along the way, and the world sort of. I don't think they fell for it, but I don't think they really believed he was going to do it because it's dumb. But he'll end up with Ukraine, and he'll be ginger, be just ginger for all those other former Soviet satellite countries, like Poland and Lithuania and Estonia, and they're very fearful for what comes next. But they're of course in NATO, and as being part of NATO, the other NATO countries are under an obligation to come in and defend them, which isn't the case for poor old Ukraine.
Jeff, we've seen pictures of people pouring out of Kiev and trying to head west away from the front and the east part of Ukraine. Inevitably, they'll head towards you in Lviv, which is not far from the Polish border. The Polish government has said they're ready and willing to take refugees. Have you got much of a sense in Lviv yet whether there are people aiming to pour across the border, or are they just seeking refuge in the western part of the country at this point?
They'll flog down there's a highway. There's a couple of routes to it, so they'll come down the highway and go straight out to the border. That was pretty. There was a lot of confusion about what was going on out there. The traffic got held up for a while. I think the border got closed for a while. But you also saw those scenes of vehicles on that highway. Coming out of the city, the capital. And on the other side, there was no cars because no one was going in, and everyone was trying to get out. So that's going to be sort of like a human tragedy. I think that's sort of people, just fleeing Ukraine, fleeing their homes, leaving their jobs, leaving their houses, and all that sort of stuff, and just to become refugees in another part of Europe.
So it's about 9:15 there right now at night?
Yes, it is about that, yep.
Yeah, so 10:15. A lot of the action seemed to happen following Vladimir Putin's speech yesterday in the early hours of the morning with the cover of darkness. What's your plan for the night? Do you take shelter somewhere? Are you aiming to go out and get some pictures? What's the plan from your perspective?
We do a lot of live crosses and a lot of at both ends of the day, for about 4 hours at a time. So, and then in between, we go out on the street if we can. Not if we can, we can. We're out looking for, a missile strike just north of Lviv. They had a crack at a radar military radar facility. A little bit further south, they fired a missile at the airport. And there's been hundreds and hundreds of missile strikes all across the country. But at the moment, the way that they've come in, and most of the fighting is in the east and in the central area, and I doubt whether it's going to be too long before they start, coming out west. And then a city like Lviv will probably repeat the scenes of Kiev, with people, trying to get to the border and get over into Poland.
What's it like, Jeff, when you leave your hotel and get out and walk around? Like, are there people on the streets, or is everybody basically inside at the moment?
A bit quiet now. We've had air raid silence all day, and they broadcast people to go home, and take shelter in their basements and turn their electricity and their gas off. And I think a lot of people don't think that's worth it. And when trouble finally gets here, they'll just get in their cars and go to Poland. But they've also later today they were doing another public announcements across the city. They've got speakers everywhere saying if you hear the siren 3 times, you've got to go. You've got to get to your homes. So that's when people might react. But otherwise, they're sort of pretty much going around about their daily business. But it's cold and it's 10:15, so there's not that many people out.
Well, Jeff, thank you, mate. Really appreciate your time. Stay safe there, and thanks for talking. It's Jeff Parry, who's covering it for Channel 7 in Lviv now. He was in Kiev, and will be doing a lot of work. I'm just trying to crunch some numbers, because Europe's always a lot smaller than we ever think about here in Australia. We're used to much larger distances. So Lviv, where Jeff's stationed, and he's talking about there being missile strikes on a radar station not far from where he is, far west of the country. They're about 118 k's from the nearest Polish town, which is a big country just to the west, member of NATO, as he says, where if anything happens, this thing escalates significantly as a member of NATO. 118 k's. So what's that? That's like twice the distance from here to the Barossa?
Like driving it's pretty much exactly like driving to Aldinga and back.
So that's where it's happening. That's NATO territory to where there's aggressive Russian action. I mean, that's remarkable. That's an afternoon drive in South Australia.
I was thinking, looking at the map of all of this, and I was channel hopping from Fox News to CNN to get completely polar opposite takes on how, or not so much how, but why all of this is unfolding. But I was thinking about your family, your mum's background. Like, for people of Polish extraction, and for people from the Baltic states, I mean, just thinking about it in the context of living here in Wayville. Like, I'm only a few streets away from the Latvian club, just down the road there, tucked off Green Hill Road. Mentioned before, we've got that majestic Ukrainian Catholic church not far from the house. And for all that, there's so many people who live in South Australia specifically because of the exact type of Russian aggression that we've seen in the last 24 hours. And that it's just so audacious. And from the Tsars to the Soviets and now to Putin, this appalling sense of expansionism and utter disregard for anyone else's rights. It's just extraordinary.
And it's why you hear such a difference in tone out of the leadership of various countries in Europe. Those former Soviet states like Poland, the Baltic states, I heard the Estonian Prime Minister speaking yesterday. They're far more aggressive and strong with their tone about what needs to be done about Vladimir Putin. These are countries that have had lived experience in recent generations of Russian and Soviet tyranny. The more appeasing tone tends to come from Germany and France, some of these other places that they're a bit more removed, both geographically and...
well, it's not long ago. I mean, I can remember watching the Berlin Wall come down live on TV. It was 1989. I was almost in my 20s when it was happening. It's very, very, very recent.
All right, it's 20 minutes after 6. We're going to take a break and come back with more in just a moment.
Seen the new quick and easy recipes at pork.com.au yet? I have. It's how I turned Sanchoy Bao into pork Sanchoy Wow. There's so many other recipes too. Because as they say, dinner winners are easy when there's pork on your fork.
I used to think a good day on the golf course was coming home with more than one golf ball. But my game has really stepped up thanks to Shane from Drummond Golf.
Hi Tom, how's the handicap going?
Well, I've been personally my-matched by you and I'm hitting longer, straighter and higher than I ever have before. You and your team have really got my game sorted.
We want people to love golf as much as we do. Just like we did for you, Tom, we put you through the My Match process to pick the right clubs for you. We also do lessons at the driving range and kit them out in the best gear, all aimed to reduce their handicap.
Well, it has worked a treat for me. I cannot recommend it enough. Go and see the team at Drummond Golf. Thank you again, Shane. Enfield, Darlington, Myland, Tetra Gully and the West Beach driving range.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is giving 5 lucky ticket holders the chance to drive away in a brand new Lexus just for getting in early. Plus, your tickets stay in the draws for 2 stunning Scott Salisbury homes in beautiful Somerton Park. There's a catalogue full of prizes, including luxury cars and amazing getaways. Join the fight and get your tickets by midnight tonight at homelottery.com.au. Licence M14133.
Great news from Dave Benson Caravans. They have just secured the brand new range of Cedar Caravans. Cedar Caravans are 100% Australian made and offer premium quality couple vans, bunk vans and off-road vans. And the best part? They are all ready for delivery right now. Yep, no waiting. So get your caravan sooner and start your holiday journey in a new 100% Aussie made Cedar Caravan. Exclusive to Dave Benson Caravans, where your adventure begins. 64 Grand Junction Road, Kilburn.
A kid's playground, rubbish. A park bench, rubbish. A nature boardwalk, rubbish. You see, the Australian government is helping industry to transform your old rubbish into incredible new things. Proudly remade in Australia. Like this outdoor gym, rubbish. Even this brand new road, rubbish. Every time you recycle, you're helping to remake Australia into a better place for everyone. Remade in Australia. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes after 6, we're getting a stack of texts on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. I like this one as a brief distraction, David, from what's happening in Ukraine. Ian had tried his luck in the Powerball last night. It was a couple of Division 1 winners at the 120 mil. It wasn't Ian. Ian says, at least I had a win lotto last night. Yep, that $10.80 is really going to come in handy. Well, you invest it right, Ian, and you just never know. Rob says Putin runs rampant and does whatever he wants while Biden dithers with sanctions that I'm sure the Russians would have calculated into this. Iran, China, North Korea, etc. all waiting will act in their own interests if something is not done to give Russia pause, but Biden is not the man for this. There's a few people that have expressed similar sentiments to that. Someone says, hi, Will and Dave, given the West's response to Putin, China will probably now move on Taiwan. This one says, Putin, you idiot, you complain about the expansion of NATO. Your actions in Ukraine are exactly why former Soviet bloc countries rushed to join NATO in the first place. It is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sport's a nice distraction at a time like this, and Tom Wren's in the studio, so let's take the opportunity to talk about footy's back. It's been somewhat overshadowed, unfortunately, the last few hours, Rennie, but it'll be welcome when it does arrive. All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10 years warranty, 10 years cap price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, and good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Will. Good morning, David. It does seem a bit crazy talking about sport given the gravity of what is going on at the moment. And
oh no, Tom, please, can I jump in?
Go for it.
Talk about sport, mate.
Yeah.
Everybody needs an escape valve in life. There's no shame in feeling overwhelmed by the news cycle and going, you know what? Well, I've dead set. I watched about 8 hours straight of this shit yesterday. I'm going to sit down with my kids tonight and we're going to watch Dumb and Dumber or There's Something About Mary. We're going to deliberately go out of our way to unplug our brains from this. So talk about sport.
You had your window, Ted. You blew it.
I asked for a whiskey sour. Yeah, whatever.
Oh, God. Look, I think a lot of footy fans are looking forward to seeing the Crows and Port Adelaide now. A match in anger. The Crows in particular, Matt Crouch, great to see him back. He's barely played for the last 2 years, so he'll be there. Jake Saligo, Josh Rochelle, that's going to be exciting. Port Adelaide, I think Josh Sin, Jackson Mead, Jeremy Finlayson, really looking forward to seeing how they go against Gold Coast. But the only issue for both clubs, and we'll talk about some of the players that aren't playing today, is the weather's not looking great. They've had A-League games cancelled on the Gold Coast, and yet here we are. We're going to go ahead with these 2 games at Metricon.
You might have to play with a snorkel on. There's 150 mils of rain forecast. 150. I can't believe these games. What are they on? About Crows game starts at 10:30, doesn't it? Something
10:30
like that.
this morning.
So that's on in 4 hours. What are we going to learn from that, Rennie?
Well, you might learn if they can swim.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
which team has the most players who completed their survival certificate?
Yeah. I mean, it's disappointing, isn't it? We've got such incredible conditions over here at the moment, and yet they're flying out. Look, I know football gets played in the wet, but it does seem excessive. I just hope the forecast is wrong, and clearly there'll be rain, but hopefully it's not as severe as what they're forecasting.
Hey Tom, one thing I'm excited about, because for years now the AFL has been tormenting fans, particularly non-Victorian fans, by starting the season with the what Will likes to call the broccoli game, Carlton v Richmond. Normally utterly unwatchable garbage, principally because Carlton have been rubbish for a decade or more. But this year, the first game, is it the grand final replay? Is it Melbourne v Footscray?
It is. It's on Wednesday, the 16th. So
good.
It's the night
good's
earlier.
that?
Yeah, it's going to be the grand final rematch, and then it's Carlton and Richmond the following night.
You can still get your veggies
still
in.
Get your fix. And then Brisbane and Port, they're going to be playing in their first match on the Saturday night, and Crows against Fremantle on the Sunday. So you're right, Melbourne Bulldogs.
Did you hear, Reddy, that Carlton charged people $15 to come to their practice game yesterday?
You're kidding. Wow.
Yeah, $15 if you're a non-member, just to get along and just in a sneak peek at the greatness.
They are the spiritual home of free marketeering, Carlton. John Elliott.
Good on you, Reddy.
Thanks, boys. Good stuff.
27 minutes after 6. We're getting an absolute flood of texts this morning. 0248 08 1395 is the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. And a reminder, too, that all our interactions to the program go in the running to win prizes is our commitment to you. So call in 8223 0000 or text us, tweet us, have your say on everything that's happening at the moment. 28 minutes after 6.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability, get world-leading safety, and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage for sales, service, and hire. Get a Toyota forklift.
Way back in 1974, Gliderol Garage Doors began manufacturing and installing garage doors in South Australia. A lot has changed since then, but our commitment to quality remains as strong as ever. We have garage door solutions of all kinds. Not only do we have traditional doors, our timber look or custom designer doors ensure your house will make a style statement. For a free measure and quote and helpful advice, give Gliderol a call, 1300 799 177, or go to gliderol.com.au.
Adelaide property values are at an all-time high. They've grown by more than 17% over the past year, with really strong buyer demand. And in some areas, demand is greater than supply, and vendors are regularly getting multiple offers for homes with sold prices well above expectations.
Now, we know that our friends at Toop and Toop work across all suburbs, and we can tell you right now that in Melbourne, they're working with 4,825 buyers, 4,737 in Linden Park, and 4,842 in Walkerville. And they're all searching for their perfect property in these specific locations.
If you're thinking of selling and would like to know how many buyers Toop and Toop are working with in your suburb, visit toop.com.au.
Attention Adelaide! Harvey Norman Clearance Centre have scooped the shipment of Smeg appliances. For a limited time, you can grab yourself Smeg premium brand appliances from our clearance centre. New, refurbished, box damaged and deleted lines. Ovens, cooktops, range hoods and dishwashers. All this stock comes with manufacturer's warranty. Smeg appliances at Harvey Norman Clearance Centre. Look for the red sign. Shop now at Harvey Norman Clearance Centre, 919 Marion Road, Marion.
When shopping around for hearing aids, the main sound you'll hear is But not at Specsavers, where you don't have to pay top dollar for top-of-the-range hearing aids. Just book a free 15-minute hearing check at specsavers.com.au/hearing. Then maybe you could use those savings to hear something more pleasant like... Should have gone to Specsavers. Conditions apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny, 29 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is defending his invasion of Ukraine, claiming he could not react any other way. The full-scale assault by land, sea and air is the largest attack in Europe since World War II.
We were not given any other chances to act otherwise. Risks in the security area. We couldn't react any other way.
That translation thanks to Sky News UK. European Union Security Chief Josep Borrell says Putin needs to stop senseless aggression.
These are among the darkest hours for Europe since the end of World War II. A major nuclear power has attacked a neighbour country and is threatening reprisals of any other states that may come to its rescue.
There's been fierce fighting in Chernobyl near the Formula nuclear power plant. Ukraine has lost control of the site with Russian tanks stationed outside. Australia will not commit troops to combat Russia's invasion. The federal government has extended travel bans and economic sanctions on Moscow. More than 30 Russian individuals won't be able to travel here, with the measure likely to be extended to every member of the country's parliament. Foreign Minister Maurice Payne says defence personnel will not be sent to the war zone, but we may provide assistance with military equipment.
There are partners much closer than Australia in terms of the ability to deliver readily and quickly. It may be that there are other ways for Australia to provide support that is helpful, but we stand ready to assist.
In other news, South Australia's business and consumer confidence has felt the effects of Omicron. The latest Bank SA monitor shows confidence has dipped since last October, but remains at a good level to recover. The bank's David Firth says as long as restrictions start to lift, people will gain that confidence to go back out and support their community.
Look, I think, confidence does remain at high levels for both businesses and consumers, so we're really encouraging people to get back out, go to the fringe, get to your local restaurant, support locals, support the economy and continue to back SA.
The husband of Helena Hutchins has broken his silence 4 months after the cinematographer was accidentally shot and killed by actor Alec Baldwin. Michael Genovese reports.
In an interview with NBC, Matthew Hutchins has described his anger after Alec Baldwin denied responsibility for shooting Helena Hutchins during rehearsals on the set of the movie Rust.
The idea that the person holding the gun causing it to discharge is not responsible is absurd to me.
Hutchins filed a civil suit against the actor and others involved in the production. Lawyers for Alec Baldwin say any claims that he was reckless are false.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
We've got a big day of footy on the way, Tom Wren.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Mel, and several youngsters will have a chance to impress for the Crows when they play their practice match against Brisbane. That's in just a few hours' time on the Gold Coast. Josh Rochelle and Jake Saligo have been included in the squad, while Matt Crouch will also play. Wayne Miller isn't in the team, but the club insists he's still on track to play in round one. Port Adelaide will have a look at Josh Sin, Sam Skinner and Jackson Mead when they come up against Gold Coast this afternoon. That match also being played at Metricon Stadium. Still on footy, Demons defender Adam Tomlinson has played his first game since his ACL injury in the practice match against North Melbourne, and he says he's pulled up well. Meantime, the Western Bulldogs will be looking to include several players who missed out on this week's practice match against Essendon in the next pre-season hit-out against the Lions. New Bulldogs assistant coach Mark Webb says Bailey Smith is one of those who should get a run.
Bailey, I think, should be right for the next game. Same with Alex Keith. So they've been pretty minor around there. Timmy O'Brien, I think his might have been a hamstring, might be a little bit longer, so he might be touch and go. But he's fitted in really well. He played solid minutes in a couple of intra clubs.
To soccer, and Ange Postecoglou's Celtic have been knocked out of the Europa League after suffering a 2-0 loss to Bodo Glimt. Better news though for Leicester, who enjoyed a 3-1 win against Randers FC. And there's one EPL game on this morning, Wolverhampton taking an early 1-0 lead against Arsenal. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
29 for your Friday and mostly sunny, 29 again tomorrow and the same on Sunday. Right now it's 17 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
It is 24 minutes to 7. What we're going to do for you this at the moment is just recap some of the things going on, not just in Ukraine, but in Adelaide as well. One thing, David, we missed, and I'm sure you'll echo these sentiments as well. A text came through on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line during our sports segment. We were talking footy with Rennie and didn't send our best regards to Rod Marsh. We got a text from someone saying, all the best to Rod, Iron Gloves Marsh. Have a speedy recovery. It was a bit of a shock yesterday for one of Australia's greats.
Certainly was. He'd just landed in Queensland. He was in a car and he had chest pains and realised that he was having a heart attack. I had the pleasure of sitting next to Rod Marsh at a McLaren Vale winemaker's lunch at the Marion Hotel last year, and he's just the best bloke, just so down to earth. Doesn't drink Grenache. He said, I don't understand it. I just don't know what the point is.
He doesn't understand Grenache.
No, he's a Shiraz man. But he was just such cracking company, and you know, and it was so amazing talking to him about like the day that he got hit in the head batting at the Adelaide Oval, and was bleeding from the head, and talking to him about his relationship with DK. I loved every minute of that lunch, and such a great bloke. Good to hear that he's going all right. Sounds like he's going all right, but huge connection to South Australia as well, the Marsh family now, because Rod played an instrumental role in starting the cricket academy just down near you, mate, in Hervey Beach.
Yep.
On Military Road there, and just, you know, somebody made South Australia his home. A great guy, great family guy. So good on you, Marshy.
We're going to intersperse the program this morning just with some voices talking about what's happening in Eastern Europe at the moment. So you hear various people. Joe Biden and Boris Johnson will come up after 7 o'clock, but CBS News has just heard from retired Lieutenant General Masters, who's a former national security advisor. Here's what he's had to say.
Deterrence has failed already. And deterrence, I think you can think of as a simple equation of capability times will. We didn't have the capabilities in the region to deny Russia the ability to blockade Ukraine and to conduct really a four-pronged assault on the country. And I think the assumption was that we didn't have the will. We didn't have the will to act against Putin in a decisive manner. I don't think he also expected us to release the intelligence that we released in previous weeks. And I think that rocked him back and may have delayed this a little bit.
Yeah, you hear from people all over the place over the course of the morning as they speak, in a variety of opinions too. Let's have a little bit look closer to home for the moment, because on any other day, I think we'd be able to be having a pretty expansive conversation about where restrictions are at. There's going to be a range of them that are going to ease in South Australia as of, well, tomorrow morning, 12:01 tomorrow morning. Hospitality restrictions will be lifted back to one person per 2 square metres indoors with stand-up drinking allowed. That becomes more generous in terms of the density allowance if there's no stand-up drinking or you're outside. Buffets are back. Dancing and singing will be permitted at private functions. Larger crowds will be allowed to return to sporting events. And I think it was interesting. We can have Grant Stevens on later, David. He made the point they're going to meet really regularly over the next few weeks. So there could be further restrictions.
Pushing. Good stuff. Got to say, that buffet news has made my day. 2 things I've missed the most. Seriously, I'm deadly serious.
Yeah, I can see by your face.
Even though my wife has deluded sort of ethical problems with the concept of going to greyhound racing these days, I love going to family nights at Chase's at Angle Park. The buffet, seriously, the all-you-can-eat buffet, And I think it's like $27 a head. Like, it's just insane. They're giving food away out there at Angle Park, and it's really, really good. They've got huge platters of prawns. There's a dessert bar with like a revolving tower of chocolate topping and all these different flavoured ice creams for the kids. It takes you about 3 days to get the kids to sleep after you've taken them to Angle Park. So there's that buffet. There's also, historically, there's a fantastic buffet at the Morford Arms, and also a cracking buffet at the Elephant and Castle there on West Terrace, where they do an excellent filet mignon. So one of the saddest little markers of the pandemic has been the death of all of those buffets. Yep. Bring them back. I'm going to load up my plate.
As we said at the start of the show, unfortunately bad news for South Australians when it comes to the Powerball jackpot. No major Div 1 winners here. There are 2 new multi-millionaires waking up in New South Wales and WA, though. The winning entries will each pocket more than $60 million. I think the WA one might have been a syndicate, actually, so they might be splitting it among people, but effectively there was 2 winning tickets, the second biggest jackpot in Australian lottery history. I wonder if do we have anyone that won more than Ian? Ian might be the South Australian who won the most. Text us earlier on saying
$10.80.
He won $10.80. Is he the richest South Australian after the Powerball draw? Let us know if you've you won more. 8223 Might have to
really let his hair down by buying 2 2-litre bottles of Coke.
Well, maybe that's what we should ask people. If you suddenly were in the good position of receiving $10.80, a windfall, what's the best way you could spend $10.80?
Well, you'd want to make it feel like you'd lashed out on a luxury item. So what's a luxury item that costs $10.80?
Something you wouldn't have bought.
You could buy like a sachet of saffron.
Yes. Yeah.
And make yourself a paella.
8223 If you've got some ideas for Ian about how he could spend his $10.80, we'd appreciate them. It's got to feel special. 0480 1395. That's the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. We're going to speak with the Minister for Science and Defence Materials after 7 o'clock this morning about Australia's space sector getting a $65 million injection. That means a bit of money here for Adelaide as well. The federal government pushing to put an Australian astronaut back in space. They're going to talk about it all here in Adelaide with the Prime Minister a little bit later today, but we're going to be talking about it after 7 o'clock with the Minister here on 5AA Breakfast. Let's check traffic now for the first time this morning. Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? We'll book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Good morning. At Kilburn, got a blackout with lights playing up on Churchill Road near Brunswick Street. 2 Wells got a smash on the Port Wakefield Highway near Bailey Road. Darlington, works on the Flagstaff Road upgrade continue near the South Road intersection. That does get busy throughout the morning. And look out at Myrtlebank today. Got speeds reduced for works around the intersection of Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Road. A couple of cameras too. Churchill Road, Kilburn, Doothie Street, Melbourne. Summer's sorted at OTR with barista-made iced OG lattes inspired by Krispy Kreme original glazed donuts. Yum! Limited time only at OTR. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
It's okay to want more, which is why more and more people choose Mawson Lakes Volkswagen to service their car, especially Volkswagen owners. At Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, we offer state-of-the-art servicing, complimentary loan cars, next-day servicing, and breakfast or lunch is on us. Why? Because when you're Adelaide's newest Volkswagen dealer, you want to give more. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city. Visit mawsonlakesvw.com.au and book your service today.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. National Tiles has a dedicated team of experts in our market-leading commercial division. If you're an architect, developer, builder or tiler looking for expert product knowledge on tiles, adhesives and grouts, National Tiles has your answers. Not to mention our unbeatable project pricing to ensure your jobs come in on budget every time. So call National Tiles for an appointment with one of our commercial experts now.
Now, this is exciting. Yesterday, Classical Mystery Tour won the Adelaide Fringe's Best Music Award for Week 1. Look, and it just goes to show, David, we were right. This show is sensational.
I got to tell you, Will, how annoying is this? One of the masterminds behind this show, Dave Manier, sent me a very kind text yesterday saying, "Hey mate, if you want to head along this weekend, let me know." And I had to explain to him, "Mate, I'm not going anywhere. I can't even leave the house."
Oh, that's brutal.
But it's getting rave reviews, Classical Mystery Tour, and no surprise for us that it's won Best Music Award. We told you so. All you need is love and a ticket to that now award-winning Beatles show, Classical Mystery Tour. It's an all-Adelaide 21-piece rock band and orchestra's take on the Beatles' hit-laden 1967 album Magical Mystery Tour.
Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields Forever, I'm the Walrus, Fall on the Hill, All You Need Is Love, and more. They all play them 6:30 p.m. outdoor event at the Moa in Gluttony.
Classical Mystery Tour, that Beatles show. Tickets at fringetix.com.au.
We lost Dad to prostate cancer.
Breast cancer nearly took Mum away.
My little brother is living with leukemia.
My pa caught his bowel cancer early.
Make your donation as personal as your story. You can target the cancer that's hurt you most with Cancer Council SA. Learn more or donate at cancersa.org.au.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Check out Gliderol Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors, gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
14 minutes to 7. We did have some other winners, David, Powerball overnight, and some grand plans on how people are going to spend their windfall. Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line. Someone says won $35.90. Oh. Also known as the deposit on a new bottle of gin. Thank you. Diane Lockley says, morning boys, I'm the great winner of an outlay of $90 for a fantastic return of $35.90. Now, I'm no accountant, Di, but that doesn't seem like a recipe for prosperity to me. No. Stewie says won $10.80 on the Powerball. Going to splash out and fill my 5-litre jerry can. Thank you, Stewie. Better get in quick the way more the oil barrel prices are going. Mick says, lads, I won $21.60 on Powerball, and I'll let it ride on young Jimmy at $9 to win $194 footy. There's a tip from Mick. Gamble responsibly. Phil says Ian, who won $10.80, could live like a millionaire by placing a single shaving of truffle on his 2-minute noodles. Yeah, that'd be an extravagant way of spending it.
Good idea. Why not? You can get those truffles at the market, at the mushroom shop.
If you won any trivial amount, let us know how you plan on spending it. Or if you've got some ideas for Ian's $10.80, we appreciate those as well. Let's talk weather. Hannah Marsh is Senior Forecaster at the Weather Bureau. Morning to you, Hannah.
Good morning, David and Will.
Take us through the weekend.
Well, the lows have been all night with 16.6 degrees. Today we're looking at a mostly sunny 29 degrees in the city and Glenelg, 31 at Elizabeth, 27 at Noarlunga and 26 for Mount Barker. Tomorrow we're looking at it being pretty similar and really on Sunday as well. So we're looking at 29 degrees and sunny both days. It will be cloud increasing on Sunday and there is the chance of seeing a spot or two about the ranges on Sunday and also on Monday. So we're looking partly cloudy, 28, but again, chance of seeing a shower about the ranges on Monday. Then as we head into the new week, we're looking at partly cloudy, 27 degrees for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Good on you, Hannah. Thank you for that.
Thanks,
Senior
Hannah.
Forecaster Hannah Marsh from the Weather Bureau. Senior Constable Matt Brown has some details for us on a servo robbery at Woodville Park. What happened there, Matt?
Well, just after 5 p.m. last night, police were called to David Terrace at Woodville Park after staff at a service station activated a hold-up alarm. A man had entered the service station with an axe in hand and demanded money from the till, and sorry, that time should read just after 5 a.m. Today, actually. Cash was stolen and the offender was seen running from the service station north on David Terrace. A second witness saw a man believed to be the offender enter a car on Ranelagh Street. I hope I've pronounced that right. The victim was not physically injured as a result of the incident, but police would like to speak to the witness who saw the suspect enter the car, or anyone else has information that may assist the investigation, to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Matt, also, police are working on a serious crash at Emeroo near Port Augusta.
That's right, David. Just after 3 a.m. today, police and emergency services were called to Yorkeys Crossing Road, just north of Port Augusta, after a car with 5 men inside had crashed and rolled. Now, one of the passengers suffered serious injuries and was taken to a local hospital. Is expected to be airlifted to the Royal Adelaide Hospital for further treatment. But Yorkeys Crossing Road is expected to be closed to about 9 a.m. today in both directions, so please find an alternate route if you're travelling in the area. There was one crash out at Two Wells as well that I could give you a bit of information on. This one's only just come in about half an hour ago. Two people on a motorcycle had crashed. Both on their way to the Lyle Mac, but there will be road closures in place for a little while the local patrols determine what happened with the crash there, and the motorcycle was towed from the scene. So that's in the intersection of Old Port Wakefield Road and Bailey Road at Two Wells.
Good on you, Matt. Thank you for that. Senior Constable Matt Brown from SAPOL. This is a bit of good news. I wasn't aware of this one, David. Someone, a texter has told us that someone won Div 2 in North Haven, $77,000 last night.
Now
that'd do. You could have some fun with $77,000.
Yeah, that's good money. That's like a really, really good holiday. It's a big chunk off your mortgage. It's
it's the right amount of money to do something irresponsible. Like if it's more than that, you
buy
think
a cracking car.
Or a boat,
yeah. Would you treat it like it was money that you didn't have, so you'd spend all of it, or would you be sensible and say, "Oh, I'll save half of it, or save 20 grand"? Or
David, are you asking me or my wife?
Well, actually, I'm asking both of you.
Yeah. Well, then whatever she says.
Correct answer, mate.
We got another one from Bob, who says, if I won $10.80, I'd buy 5.4 litres of petrol or a $1 coffee and 4.9 litres of petrol from On the Run. Thank you, Bob. A lot of grand spending plans from listeners this morning on the sums of money that we're won here in South Australia. Keep those ideas coming in. They're just they're good fun. 8223 is the number. We're going to take a break. Back with more in a moment.
Do you own a business? Get a $100 e-gift card plus up to 10% off your first year's premium when you buy Allianz Public Liability Insurance cover online with a new business insurance pack. To claim yours, search Allianz Public Liability and use the promo code GIFT. Offer ends 17th of March 2022. Allianz, behind you for what's ahead. Also available with trades and services or office packs. Eligibility criteria and minimum premiums apply. Before buying, read the PDS. Go to our website for a PDS and TMD.
I used to think a good day on the golf course was coming home with more than one golf ball. But my game has really stepped up thanks to Shane from Drummond Golf.
Hi Tom, how's the handicap going?
Well, I've been personally matched by you, and I'm hitting longer, straighter and higher than I ever have before. You and your team have really got my game sorted.
We want people to love golf as much as we do. Just like we did for you, Tom, we put you through the My Match process to pick the right clubs for you. We also do lessons at the driving range and kit them out in the best gear, all aimed to reduce their handicap.
Well, it has worked a treat for me. I cannot recommend it enough. Go and see the team at Drummond Golf. Thank you again, Shane. Enfield, Darlington, Mile End, Tetra Gully and the West Beach driving range.
For 38 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip. And right now, Steinborner Automotive Gawler has stocked up with 30 hand-picked 2018-19 ZB Commodores. Choose from a range of factory edition or special black edition with black roof and black wheels. That's 2018 and 19 ZB Commodores from $23,990, all with a balance of factory warranty. View all their used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth the trip.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Six to 7. Proud parents are a nice film. You're a proud parent, David. I'm sure over the course of their lives there has been and will be times where your pride will embarrass and make your kids feel a little bit uncomfortable. There was a situation where that happened rather publicly in the United States. Have a listen to this journalist trying to do their job out in the street, in public, recording a cross when they're interrupted.
Is it because of this is my mom. Hold on. I'm trying to work right now, and you're over there calling my phone. This is D'Angelo. You can say hi. And don't be holding up traffic because you got cars behind you. Did you record that?
That's journalist Miles Harris in Ohio, a reporter for ABC 6 in that part of the United States, who's trying to do a live cross, but it's ended up being bombed by his mum in the background, who's yelling out to him to get his attention.
I love it at the start. Hi, baby. It's funny, isn't it?
I like there's clearly the pretext to it is that he wants it answering his phone, which is the most mother-son sort of genuine interaction you could have. She's been trying to call him and he didn't answer, so she turned up to his live cross. That's beautiful. Have you been embarrassed or been the embarrasser? Give us a call, 8223 0000, or text us on the Telstra Store about Barker text line, 0448.
That relationship never changes.
Totally.
It doesn't matter how old you are. Like, I reckon if you were... Well, I think a good example of that was the relationship between Rupert Murdoch and his late mother, Dame Elizabeth. I remember the interview she did with the BBC, and she was asked about what she thought of all of his newspapers, and she just said, I don't really like The Sun. And she said, I've told Rupert I don't like the pictures of the ladies that he puts in the paper. And obviously a reference to the Page 3 girls, which not long after that were phased out. They got rid of them. They got rid of the Page 3 girls.
Because Mum didn't like them.
Yeah. And you think, he's one of the most powerful people on earth getting publicly told off by his nonagenarian mother, who was one of the greatest gardeners Australia has ever seen. If you want to see some majestic garden design, there's a book about her property, which her and her husband, who died young, Sir Keith Murdoch, had in Victoria, Cruden Farm. Remarkable garden, great Australian garden.
That's a beautiful story. We're getting a lot of fun suggestions through from people too about their menial Powerball winnings last night. This one couldn't even venture a possible, lavish expenditure, which is what we're encouraging this morning. Morning, fellas, it reads, won $17.95 in a syndicate that gives us $1.38 each. It's going to be a quiet weekend. Yeah. $1.38 in this day and age is almost impossible to spend.
Yeah, that doesn't get you much. That reminds me of when my band was playing years ago. I remember one night we played a show at the Crown and Anchor supporting 3 other bands. We never headlined. And our 4-member band, was paid $8 for its appearance.
$8?
Under a door deal. We got $8.
How did they work that out?
Oh, just from the take on the door. So it entitled us to $2 each. But in an act of great generosity, we gave it all to our mixer Louise.
Good on Louise. Hope she spent it wisely. Hey, Rach won a good enough sum to have some fun with and is very generous with it. Rach says, lads, I won $73.25 in Powerball. Going to treat the folks to a nice lunch out. There's a good idea.
Yeah, that'll get you
$73. That's 2.5. That's 2.5 state government sponsored vouchers.
Yeah, $73. That'll get you 4 bowls of Vietnamese noodles or 4 good focaccias.
Yeah.
There's a new word for Blakey to tease me with, focaccia.
That'll get you going at the pub. Keep them coming in, 8223 0000. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line, 0448 08 1395. We're going to continue bringing you the sounds of Ukraine over the course of the morning as well. This one comes from Kharkiv, which is Ukraine's second largest city. It's on the eastern side of the country, so it's right in the firing line. It's a place. There's journalists stationed there, but we've been told there have been Russian forces moving into that area, and the fighting has become more willing. A woman from the area, a Ukrainian national, told CNN that her world has completely changed overnight.
It's now going to be the most dangerous time, and that we are going to be under the rocket attacks, and the safest place is to hide here. So it's like you wake up in a totally new reality at 5 a.m. and you find out that the world is no longer the safe place you imagine.
Lots of eyewitness accounts coming through from these sorts of places, from the media that's assembled in various parts of Ukraine. It was eerie watching pictures yesterday as this all unfolded of streets and squares where the weird part was often the normality, where people were walking around or holding hands and going for a walk down the street, trudging around as there were places in the country that were being attacked, as there were air warning sirens going off. Less and less of that going on at the moment, obviously, with people trying to get to the western part of the country. But we'll bring you the international response after 5AA News in a moment, because we have heard from the key players. You can judge for yourself what you think of the US President Joe Biden's had to say. Boris Johnson's particularly strong, and we'll play a little bit of him as well. But if you'd like to have your say, you can do so, 8223 0000. Text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line, or if you want to have some fun with the the winnings that you didn't have on Powerball last night. Lots of people are, and they are a nice antidote to some of the other things going on in the world this morning. Please tell us what you won and how you're going to spend it. The numbers were 6. Here are the numbers that South Australians didn't get. I might as well couch it in those terms. 6, 15, 9, 27, 32, 28, 33. Powerball is 8. There's another way to interpret that. We spoke with Adam Spencer yesterday, who says, statistically, you might be better off winning a solo Div 1 by going for numbers higher than 31, because a lot of people play birth dates and anniversaries and whatnot. Well, you wouldn't have done particularly well if that was your strategy last night.
Maybe better off listening to Lizzie McCaskill.
Yeah, Liz said 101's going to come up. It's going to be a big night for her. No, she didn't. I made that up. We love you, Liz.
We do.
Let's take a break. 5AA News on the way. Back shortly.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 29 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
Russia's full-scale assault by land, sea and air on Ukraine is being described as the largest attack in Europe since World War II. The US president is vowing to choke Russia's economy in response to the assault. Joe Biden announcing fresh sanctions targeting Russian banks and oligarchs. The measures are in step with the UK, Europe and Australia. Mr Biden says the world is holding Russia to account over its aggression in Ukraine.
This is a dangerous moment for all of Europe, for the freedom around the world. Putin has committed an assault on the very principles that uphold the global peace. But now, the entire world sees clearly what Putin and his Kremlin allies are really all about.
Putin is defending his invasion of Ukraine, claiming he could not react any other way. La Trobe University politics senior lecturer Dr Robert Horvath says Putin is becoming increasingly unhinged.
He's a very angry man. I think he's quite a paranoid and deranged man. And the result is what we are seeing today in Ukraine.
Police are at the scene of a car crash at Emeroo near Port Augusta. Senior Constable Matt Brown says one of the passengers has suffered serious injuries.
Just after 3 a.m. today, police and emergency services were called to Yorkeys Crossing Road, just north of Port Augusta, after a car with 5 men inside had crashed and rolled.
A service station at Woodville Park has been held up. A man with an axe demanded money at the David Terrace outlet just after 5 this morning. He did a runner with cash but jumped in a car nearby. The victim was not physically injured. Australia's space sector will get a $65 million injection to invest in jobs and technology. The federal government is pushing to put an Australian astronaut back into space. The mission will be coordinated through the Australian Space Agency in Adelaide. Business and consumer confidence has diminished off the back of the Omicron wave. The latest Bank SA monitor has consumer confidence dropping to its lowest level in 2 years. But the bank's David Firth says activity is likely to increase in the coming months.
I think confidence does remain at high levels for both businesses and consumers, so we're really encouraging people to get back out, go to the fringe, get to your local restaurant, support locals, support the economy and continue to back SA.
No South Aussies won the big jackpot in last night's Powerball, but there are new multi-millionaires waking up in New South Wales and WA. The two winning entries will each pocket more than $60 million after their numbers came up last night. It was the second biggest jackpot in Australian lottery history. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty. 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Both the Crows and Port Adelaide will play practice matches on the Gold Coast today. The Crows have taken an extended 25-man squad to face the Lions at Metricon Stadium. Port has named a 30-man squad for its pre-season practice match against the Suns. The group includes new recruits Jeremy Finlayson and Sam Skinner, as well as first-year midfielder/defender Josh Sin. Let's go to tennis. Novak Djokovic has been knocked out of the Dubai International in the quarterfinals. Djokovic beaten in straight sets by Yuri Vesely 6-4, 7-6. That result means Daniil Medvedev will become the new world number one. To cricket, South Australian Test batsman Travis Head knows he needs to perform in the historic tour of Pakistan if he's to shore up his spot in Australia's batting lineup. The South Aussie impressed when called up for the Ashes series, scoring 2 centuries and a 50 in 4 tests as he topped the batting numbers for the summer. But the head says you have to prove your worth as a batsman in unfamiliar conditions.
I think what defines you as a player, your away series, and definitely going away, obviously how tough I found it in an Ashes away, different environments, different crowds, different conditions. It's definitely challenging and you definitely get tested, and I think that's where you can take your game to a different level.
Today's A-League match between the Brisbane Roar and Melbourne Victory has been postponed, not because of COVID, but because of a severe weather forecast in southeast Queensland. Instead, the Victory will now host the Roar at AAMI Park in the reverse fixture in Melbourne on Monday. And in overseas action, Arsenal takes on Wolverhampton this morning in the English Premier League, Wolves leading 1-0 at half-time. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Admireland got a smash on South Road near Henley Beach Road. Kilburn got a blackout there. Lights playing up on Churchill Road near Brunswick Street. Darlington works on the Flagstaff Road upgrade continue near the South Road intersection. And Myrtlebank speeds reduced this morning. That's for those intersection works around Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Roads. A few cameras about today too. Bradley Grove Mitchell Park, Doothie Street at Melbourne. Put great design on display and style your home with freedom. Right now, get up to 30% off all floor rugs. Perfect for any space. Hurry, sail on now, only at Freedom. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on your car service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
Mostly sunny today and 29, sunny tomorrow 29 and Sunday 29 again. Right now it's 17 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
There was something in the air that night. Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
There's no regret.
7 minutes after 7, we're getting some terrific messages through from people who didn't win big on Powerball last night and how they plan to spend it, treat themselves. These are terrific on the Telstra Storm Outback text line. Rob says, I won $18 on Lotto. At this rate, I'll be a millionaire by 2045. Thank you, Rob. With inflation, Rob, it might be sooner.
Well, who knows? I mean, Rob, save your money, because if you win up until like 2070... you might be able to go to an AFL Grand Final that's not at the MCG.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Remember that day you won $18 in Powerball to pay for it?
That's on the horizon.
That's a great idea. One Div 7 last night says someone received $43. The ticket cost $30. Winner chicken for dinner. Yeah, it might just be an uncooked breast that you're going to be buying yourself, but thank you. Brad.
Maybe a wing.
Brad's wife might hold the record for the smallest win. I'm not sure we'll do better than this. My wife won $10.80 in a syndicate of 15, so they got 72 cents each. I'm convinced you can't.
Spend it wisely.
You can't spend 72 cents. Jane says, I'm going to spend my $10.80 on a bag of Haig's milk chocolate buttons. Now, that is a good, indulgent $10 purchase. Good on you. Someone else says, guys, if I won the $12 in Powerball, I'd get the best camembert I could for $6, then get oatcakes, go home, crumb the camembert, bake it, and then eat it when it's oozy with my oat biscuits. See, that's a Powerball winning indulgence.
Maybe a bit of cranberry sauce on the side too with that one.
Exactly. We're going to talk about the last session of the Mainline Drive-In. It's been open since 1955. If you won $10 in 1955, its value today in today's dollars would be $104. So you see what happens. You can, if you stick with something long enough, it'll turn into something. Let's see
what happens.
See what happens. Let's hear from the big players over the course of the morning who've all spoken on the situation in Ukraine, starting with the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson.
I am proud that Britain did everything within our power to help Ukraine prepare for this onslaught, and we will do our utmost to offer more help as our brave friends defend their homeland. Our embassy took the precaution on 18th of February of relocating from Kiev to the city of Lviv in western Ukraine, where our ambassador Melinda Simmons continues to work with the Ukrainian authorities and to support British nationals. Now we have a clear mission. Diplomatically, politically, economically, and eventually militarily, this hideous and barbarous venture of Vladimir Putin must end in failure.
I thought it was really strong, Boris Johnson. Watched a bit of Commons this morning, the question time. It kind of, the whole thing operated in a moment of crisis like I'd imagined people dreamt politics might work all the time. I don't know if you saw any of it. All the questions were all totally legitimate from all sides of Parliament on things that were really interesting. They were all unified on what needed to be done, but people were asking, so what becomes of food supply given Ukraine's such a big supplier? What's going to happen to our petrol prices? Should we go even stronger than what you're saying? What should we do for refugees? And it was a very unified Parliament in a way that we don't often see under the Westminster system. It was pretty impressive.
Question time in the Westminster system is one of the best things when it works. It's one of the best things that our democracies have got going for it. The fact that it is completely open and unfettered. And you're right. I didn't see it, but I saw Johnson's address, and for all of the guy's problems over the past 2 weeks, and he's been painted as a completely remote hooray Henry over Partygate, but he spoke really well then. And the key question, though, is what now? What does the West do now? He didn't really elaborate, but I think the genuinely terrifying thing about Putin and the extent to which he's just mounted a full-on invasion in total violation of international law and all decency is the guy's mad enough to set off a nuclear bomb. Don't you think?
Well, he alluded to it. He alluded to it yesterday.
Yeah. Consequences you have never seen.
Yep.
He's warned the world, if anybody gets involved in this, I'll unleash consequences that you've never seen. Now that means everything is on the table. They've got more nukes than any other country, and I think the guy has shown that he is fueled by nothing other than hatred for the free world. And I mean, if you lived in Western Europe, even if you lived in New York, you'd be going, wow.
Yep.
Like, this guy is capable of anything.
And it's no longer childish to ask, after the Ukraine, what next? There's a pattern of behaviour now that it'd be naive to think it would stop with, once this one's sorted, I'm sure he'll go back into his box. I think that those days are done. US President Joe Biden spoke from the White House just a short time ago as well. Here's what he had to say.
Without provocation, without justification, without necessity, this is a premeditated attack. Vladimir Putin has been planning this for months, as we've been saying all along. He moved more than 175,000 troops, military equipment and positions along the Ukrainian border. He moved blood supplies into position and built a field hospital, which tells you all you need to know about his intentions all along. He rejected every good faith effort the United States and our allies and partners made to address our mutual security concerns through dialogue to avoid needless conflict and avert human suffering.
I thought it was a little bit underwhelming, frankly, from Biden earlier, especially given, I don't know, like
it was a straight description of what's happened.
Yeah.
Like, we know that, Joe. We've been watching the news too, mate.
Yeah. Well, the concerning thing, like you, watched 7 or 8 hours coverage of this yesterday, was how many times over that period they said, well, we'll get a strong statement from the United States once Joe Biden wakes up. And they didn't mean that as a punchline or as a gag. He was asleep. I mean, it was the middle of the night, I get, but, there have got to be circumstances, surely, that demand instant attention. I would have thought this is
What time did you stop watching it last night?
When I went to bed. So, actually, no, it was 40 minutes before I went to bed, so like 10 to 9, because my wife said, I think it's time we watch something different. So... Which was fair enough. It had been all-encompassing since 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So, a lot. And
I stopped from 5 until 8.
Yeah.
And then I watched it from about 9 until 11:30.
There's going to be more. There'll be more developments over the course of the day, and so much of the situation now is trying to get a sense of what's actually happened thus far and what the state of the resistance is. As it continues to happen over the course of this morning, you'll hear any new developments on 5AA. Back here in South Australia, we can celebrate the end of something that's been a really special part of. We've entertained ourselves on weekends and seen the Hollywood stars and movie stars of the world. The mainline drive-in at Jepps Cross is closing, opened in 1955, and the whole process of the closing has been an incredible success for the good people at Wallace Cinemas. Deanna Wallace joins us now. You've had to close it, Deanna, at a time when it seems like now, you can't. These tickets are like gold.
I know. For this week, we sold out over a week ago, which is extremely bittersweet. We have never been this busy. However, we have only been this busy since we announced we were closing.
Yeah.
So in the lead up and the years before, even after the arson attack, we weren't this busy.
It's amazing.
It's very bittersweet. There's a lot of emotions going on at the moment.
So this is the last drive-in in the metropolitan area. Is it the last one in the state?
There is one in Cooper Pedy, which is run by another cinema chain, but this is the last one in metropolitan South Australia. So it's a massive, massive weekend.
What happens to all the stuff that's on site, Deanna?
So after the drive-in has had its last hurrah, we will be going through all the items and we will be deciding where we're going to keep them, what we're going to do with them. There are some things that are definitely extremely special to us as a family that we will be keeping for sure.
Is any of the site heritage listed? Is any of it going to stay there as a memorial to the drive-in?
It's not heritage listed. However, we do need to figure out how we're going to approach the screen, as it is a monstrosity, as everybody knows. It's quite massive. So trying to navigate what we're going to do with that, if we're going to take it down, where we're going to keep it. So there's a lot of logistical planning to do over the next couple of weeks.
Who's the person that's in the family or in the business, Deanna, that's worked with the Jeps Cross Drive-in the longest? Who do you think of as a human being when you think of it closing?
Definitely, obviously my late great-grandfather and my grandfather. They were there together, along with my nana, who is still alive, Lorna. They did the mounds themselves with their tractor. So they are the ones that I think of. And, yeah, there's a lot of special memories, even for my mum, Michelle, as well, and my late Uncle Darryl. It's been a very special part of our family.
It's been a very special part of life for so many South Australians. And
hundreds of thousands of memories.
Very wistful, melancholy day. Well, we hope the last screenings are great ones. My daughter and her boyfriend went a few nights ago. That was their first and last visit to the drive-in. They managed to get their hands on tickets, and so said to me, "God, Dad," she said, "that was so much fun. I wish we'd done that more often." But I think a lot of people, in hindsight, will feel like that too.
Yes, that when we were walking the grounds last night, a lot of people were saying just that, and we're like, well, yeah, it's so lovely.
Where were you?
To see lots of families.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's been lovely to see lots of families coming out and dogs as well. So it has been really bittersweet.
Good on you guys for the way you've managed the transition as well. It's been a success, and a lot of people have got to have their final drive-in memories. Great to chat with you, Deanna, and all the best for tomorrow night.
That story is the living embodiment of the Joni Mitchell lyric. You don't know what you've got till it's gone, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, we still have some tickets to give away as we play Guess Who's in the Boot over the course of the morning. Some clues coming up a little bit later, but there is still a chance for you to get along. Just need to stay listening and guess the movie star that we'll give you some audio clues about a little bit later in the morning. Let's take this opportunity to check traffic, thanks to the excellent people at Glenelg BMW.
Thanks, Will. At Mile End, got a smash on South Road near Henley Beach Road. Kilburn got a blackout with lights playing up on Churchill Road near Brunswick Street. Darlington, works on the Flagstaff Road upgrade continue. That's near the South Road intersection. And slow going this morning at Woodville Park. Those works continuing on Port Road near Kilkenny Road. She's down to 40 k's. A couple of cameras too. Anzac Highway, Camden Park, and Toothy Street at Melbourne. A Porto's double Bondi burger is anything but average with 2 fresh grilled chicken breast fillets, lettuce, cheese, mayo, and a Porto's original chilli sauce for just $9.95. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Under 16 years of Labor, South Australia was going down a rough road. But under the Liberals, the road is a lot smoother, with the biggest government building program in our state's history. A re-elected Marshall Liberal government will continue to build what matters, to create jobs and deliver high-quality healthcare services. Why risk going back to Labor? Together, let's build a stronger future.
Authorised by S. Meldrum for the Liberal Party of Australia, SA Division, Adelaide. Spoken by S. Marshall and M. Munn.
The Australian-made mattress floor stock clearance on now at Harvey Norman. All discontinued floor stock must go. Now's the time to upgrade to an Australian-made mattress or ensemble and support local manufacturers. Our range includes the big-name brands Sleepmaker, Sealy Posturepedic and King Coil by A.H. Beard. This is your chance to buy a quality Australian-made mattress or ensemble at an amazing price. All discontinued floor stock must go. The Australian-made mattress floor stock clearance on now at Harvey Norman.
Peaceful living awaits at the 19th at West. With uninterrupted golf course views, pristine beaches and a new cafe and retail precinct opening in March, the best of the West is at your fingertips. The architectural homes on offer allow for effortless living. Brand new 3 and 4 bedroom designs are coming soon to West. Register your interest for the new collection today. the19thwest.com.au.
If you're going to test drive a new car, taking it around the block a few times isn't enough. Take a proper test drive at Jarvis Toyota, Clovelly Park. The all-new Land Cruiser 300 boasts enhanced luxury and technology, making it a pleasure to drive both on and off-road. With the brand new 3.3 litre twin-turbo V6 diesel engine, it's the most powerful diesel Land Cruiser yet. Rediscover the road and take a proper test drive in the new Land Cruiser 300 at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park, proudly celebrating 20 years of great deals.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. For inspiration, visit the stunning Beechwood Homes display home in Blackwood Park.
We hear the Premier saying that our small business community is the state's economic engine room. But where is his government's focus? You guessed it, on spin and the big corporates. Bring back the real lens on SA's small business community. After all, if it wasn't for small business, we wouldn't have big business. Cut the spin. Vote for Colin Shearing and Carol Haslam, your independent candidates in the Legislative Council, defending local business. Written and spoken by C. Shearing, authorised by M. Rikers, 155 Fullerton Road, Rose Park, South Australia.
Woohoo! Unstoppable, Al Fran. 89 and still knocking down those pins week after week. How do you do it, Fran?
By knocking back enough milk, cheese and yogurt day after day.
Makes sense. Dairy matters for strong bones. After all, it can decrease your risk of fractures in old age by 33%. Find out more at dairy.com.au/unstoppable.
Yes!
Oh, stop it, Fran. Now you're just showing off.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes after 7, the Prime Minister is flying into Adelaide today for a significant announcement for the Australian space sector. Of course, we're the home of the Australian Space Agency. $65 million is going to be directed towards Australian technologies, getting back to space sooner, making Australia a destination for launch, but also they're launching themselves a mission to get an Australian astronaut back into space. It's been nearly 18 years since we've had an Australian in space, and the federal government wants that to change. The Minister for Science and Defence Industries is Melissa Price and joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Minister, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you in town. We want to talk to you obviously about this announcement in a moment, but first, the situation in Ukraine is on everyone's mind, and just wanted to get from you a reaction to what's transpired in the last 18 hours, but with your defence industries hat on as well, a sense of whether you think the deteriorating situation globally might necessitate a greater spend in Australia on defence going forward.
Well, as I say, thanks for the opportunity today. And yes, it's great to talk about positive news, but yes, of course, we can't avoid what is happening in Ukraine. And clearly the situation has escalated overnight, and Australia condemns in the strongest possible terms Russia's unprovoked attack on Ukraine. But from an Australian perspective, we're already spending $270 billion on our defence capability. No government in Australia ever had that amount of commitment to making sure our men and women in uniform have what they need. And in fact, it's interesting, back in 2020 we had our strategic update and we included new domains, Navy and Air Force and Army, of course, but we've included space, which is what hopefully we'll get to talk about today, as a new domain. So it gives you some idea of how where Australia spends its money on with respect to defence capability, how that is evolving.
So the plan, Minister, to send an Australian astronaut back into space, this is something close to our hearts here in South Australia with our own heritage, with Andy Thomas having gone into space. What's the sort of broader benefit of it? I mean, these things are sort of headline grabbing and, you know, one of those great moments for a nation, but how does it actually flow down into the sort of job space?
Well, I think firstly, in terms of today, the announcement is around a $65 million package, but this is on top of $850 million that we've already invested to develop a space industry in Australia. And as South Australians will proudly know, we have the Australian Space Agency here. We're very ambitious to triple the size of the sector to $12 billion and create 20,000 jobs by 2030. But if I could just go to the why, and I think that, you know, this is something that we don't focus enough on. This is why it's so exciting, and I hope that, you know, if I can motivate or excite just one or two young people listening to you today, you know, space is very important to our everyday lives. You know, it enables the GPS to work in the car or on the phone. It helps our farmers to monitor the health of their crops. I mean, it's used by our emergency workers to help respond to natural disasters, improve our communication systems. But it also, we need to support our scientists, and this is when we talk about astronauts. You know, we need to support our scientists who want to continue to do research in space, on space, because we just simply don't know what we will uncover that could help us here on Earth. But significant amount of opportunity for Australian companies, and we know that there's a very, very well-developing space ecosystem here in South Australia, like defence industry as well, and as you said at the outset, I'm the Minister for Defence Industry, so really excited about what's happening here in South Australia. But in terms of our investment today that we're announcing with Premier Marshall and the Prime Minister here in South Australia, $65 million, and that's to get more Australian companies and their technologies into space sooner, and to make sure that our nation is a leading nation for launch. So there's two packages. One I'm calling the Hitching a Ride. That's a $32 million package that's going to enable our participation in the global space sector, allow us to get products onto a launch into space. So if you can imagine, if you're a developer, and there's plenty of developers here in South Australia, if you wanted to get a small satellite into orbit to see, you know, if it works, to be able to test your technology, that could cost anywhere between $200,000 and $400,000. So we're investing $32 million so that we can help Australian companies test their technology. Then the other package, which is also around $30 million, this is what I'm calling the we're going to create spaceports, but they're effectively airports for launching rockets into space. So hopefully this is going to drive more competition, but also those young people sitting at home in front of the computer, they've got a great idea when it comes to space. This is going to motivate them and, you know, continue the good work that the Australian Space Agency does here in South Australia.
It's the Minister for Science, Melissa Price, in Adelaide today with the Prime Minister to announce further details on that policy. Thank you very much for your time.
Who should we blast into space? Scott Morrison might be tempted to put Barnaby Joyce in the capsule for the duration of the election campaign.
Might not need volunteers, you think? We can take care of this one.
Sounds like he's already in his own weird orbit.
All right, let's turn our attention to sport. A couple of practice games today, Crows and Port. Here's the headline, and the only thing you need to know about them: 150 mils of rain forecast for Gold Coast. So there'll be as much swimming as there will be football going on, I suspect. Last night on the sports show, it was swimming that Rowie was talking about. Cole Chalmers was on the program.
Yeah, Com Games is the main focus for me. Obviously, they only come around every 4 years, and did pretty well at the last one, so I've got a few titles to try and defend there, which would be nice. But World Championships has been a tough one. They were on. They were supposed to be in April. They were cancelled. They put them back on in June in Budapest, and yeah, it's kind of just been a challenging one to commit to, and obviously they do a World Championships almost every year, so missing one's not going to be the worst.
4 gold, 1 silver in the 2018 Com Games. The silver was in the 100-metre freestyle event.
It was. Tell me about it. Won the 200 freestyle, won a few other races, and didn't win my main event, which motivates me more than anything to be at the Commonwealth Games this year, obviously.
Kyle Chalmers on with Stephen Rowe last night. We're going to take a break. 5AA News is on the way, and we're off to Canberra to chat with Phil Curry in just a moment.
Genesis Care and Adelaide Oncology and Haematology have partnered to provide patients with integrated cancer care services, clinical trials and innovative therapies. Cancer patients can now receive integrated cancer care, personalised treatment plans and access to support at all stages of their treatment journey. For more information, please call Genesis Care on 8228 6700. That's 8228 6700.
The Barossa Valley is a place where things mature well and the locals really appreciate good vintage, which is why it makes sense to make the vine change and call the Barossa home. Barossa Village in Anguston, Tanunda and Nuriutpa gives you the retirement lifestyle you deserve. 1, 2 and 3 bedroom homes are now available in safe, connected communities under an hour from the city. Mature well and let it breathe at Barossa Village. Find out more at barossavillage.org.
Now, here's some exciting news from Wakefield Orthopaedic Clinic. As South Australian leaders in orthopaedic sports injuries and arthritis care, Wakefield Orthopaedic Clinic is pleased to be welcoming patients back for elective surgery.
Great news for those of you who are unwell and struggling. They've been supporting the healthcare system and the community with SA's latest COVID-19 wave, but now they're back to full capacity.
This means the dedicated team at Wakefield Orthopaedic Clinic are working hard to reschedule surgeries across 20 locations throughout metro and regional South Australia. It's a big task, but getting elective surgeries back on schedule is critical.
So if you're ready to get the ball rolling with your surgery, book an appointment with your surgeon or call your GP to discuss the next steps.
Wakefield Orthopaedic Clinic, they're committed to keeping you moving. For more information, visit woc.com.au or call 8236 4100.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 29 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
Well, Russia has gone to war. Vladimir Putin overseeing a major assault on Ukraine. Jeff Parry from 7 News is in a town west of Kiev.
Everyone was pretty shocked, I think, at what's transpired. The Americans were saying it's going to happen, it's going to happen. A lot of people thought, it'll never happen, He wouldn't be that stupid. And then he's just sent the troops in, and he's been posturing for weeks and weeks, putting 120,000, now 200,000 troops around Ukraine, and then decided while the UN Security Council was meeting to flick the switch and sent them in.
US President Joe Biden will impose new sanctions against Russia, targeting their banks in an effort to punish Moscow. Alison Petrowski is in Washington, D.C.
The new sanctions include limiting Russia's ability to do business in dollars, pounds, euros and yen, cutting off Russia's largest bank from the US financial system, freezing all Russian assets in the United States and blocking half of Russia's high-tech imports. The US president hoping these tough new measures will cripple the Russian economy.
Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences.
Joe Biden also announced that he will convene a NATO summit tomorrow with 30 world leaders to discuss their next move.
Anti-war protests have broken out across Russia in response to the invasion of Ukraine. Crowds are gathering near the Kremlin and 40 other Russian cities. Human rights monitors say around 1,000 people have been arrested. A vacant unit at Christie Downs has been destroyed by fire. The alarm was raised around 11:30 last night on Rufus Crescent. The blaze has been deemed suspicious, however the cause is undetermined. Former Australian wicketkeeper Rod Marsh has suffered a heart attack in Queensland. Marsh was rushed to hospital while in Bundaberg for a charity group event. He was saved by doctors upon arrival. A syndicate of around 250 people in Kalgoorlie has shared half of last night's $120 million Powerball. They'll divvy up just over $60 million. The other Division 1 ticket was sold in New South Wales. Now Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Plenty of practice matches on today in the AFL, including Adelaide playing against Brisbane, while Port Adelaide will come up against Gold Coast. Both matches to be played at Metricon Stadium. And there was one match yesterday with Melbourne thumping North Melbourne by 88 points. Tennis player Novak Djokovic will lose his world number one ranking for the first time in more than 2 years after he lost his quarter-final clash at the Dubai Open to Yuri Vesely.
Yuri Vesely takes out Novak Djokovic in Dubai. This will see a shuffling in the pack at the top of the world order.
Audio there thanks to ESPN. Daniil Medvedev will now sit atop the rankings when points are updated on Monday. And it's the first time since 2004 the world number one ranking on the men's tour won't be held by either Djokovic, Nadal, Murray or Federer. Rugby Australia has relaxed the requirements for overseas players to be picked for the Wallabies. Mike Pearsall has more.
Known as the Giddo Law, players plying their trade overseas previously had to have played 60 tests and spent 7 seasons in Super Rugby to have been considered for the Wallabies. That's now been reduced to just 30 caps or 5 years with an Australian franchise. Players who have signed to come home the following season will also now be eligible. The coach will, however, only have 3 overseas picks. Rugby Australia has also come to an agreement with New Zealand Rugby to cut the Bledisloe Cup from 3 test matches to 2.
To soccer, UEFA is expected to move the Champions League final away from St. Petersburg following Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. German club Schalke has removed its major sponsor, a Russian gas company, from its jersey. Meantime, Wolverhampton leads Arsenal 1-0 with about half an hour to play in their English Premier League clash. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for service? Receive complimentary vehicle pick-up and drop-off at Glenelg BMW.
At Milan, got a smash on South Road near Henley Beach Road causing a few delays. Darlington works on the Flagstaff Road upgrade continue near the South Road intersection, and Woodville Park works on Port Road near Kilkenny Road continue. One lane is out of action there, speeds at 40 k's. Cameras Lily Street, Blair Athol, Park Terrace, Bowden. Need some space? Right now at 40 Winks, get any size mattress for the price of a single, plus earn double Qantas points. Ends Sunday. T's and C's apply. 40 Winks, serious about sleep. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Mostly sunny for your Friday. We're heading for a top of 29 and 29 tomorrow and Sunday as well. Right now it's 17. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Don't let car trouble put the brakes on your adventures. FIVEaa now offers free FIVEaa roadside assist for a year with every new comprehensive car policy purchased before February 28, 2022. That's 24/7 assistance all year round. So go with FIVEaa, the go-to insurance for retirees. Call 13 50 50 or go online today. FIVEaa. Get set, go. T's and C's apply. FIVEaa is an authorised representative of the product issuer AAI Limited. Read the PDS and TMD. Call for copies.
Last chance at Harvey Norman. Receive bonus gift cards on selected cooking appliances valued over $299. Building, renovating, or just updating. Shop the very latest technology from the world's best cooking brands. Electrolux, Bosch, Fisher & Paykel, Smeg, Westinghouse, Euromade. Plus the latest from Miele, AEG, Neff and LV, Glengas and Ariston. Save up to $1,000 on Belling Richmond Deluxe cookers. Last chance to receive bonus gift cards on selected cooking appliances across the range. Exclusions, terms and conditions apply. See store for details. Offer ends this Monday, now at Harvey Norman.
Change starts with your story. And now is the time to share your experience with the Disability Royal Commission.
I feel as though we're always forgotten.
I need to speak up for those who can't.
They need you, your families and support networks to share stories of violence, abuse, neglect and exploitation. What you share in confidence will be protected and remain confidential. Register for a private session before June 30 and submissions close on December 31, 2022. Visit disability.royalcommission.gov.au.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 8. Just spoke with Deanna Wallace in the last half hour about the last ever session of the mainline drive-in tomorrow. We've still got One carload of tickets to give away, and we're going to do it in the next 21 minutes. The first clue of the Hollywood You Star you're looking out for is this. David's bobbing his head. Did that mean anything to you?
Sounds pretty funky, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did sound a bit funky.
Sort of a late 60s sort of feel to it, didn't it?
There is another clue coming up in just a few moments' time, and a chance to win that ticket that'll entitle you to a carload for some South Australian history. Let's head to Canberra. Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review is on the line. Morning to you, Phil.
Hi, fellas. Sounds like a 70s porn soundtrack.
Yeah, well, that's not the correct answer, Phil. It's certainly not a porn.
Yeah, we're taking the show in an exciting new direction.
Yeah. Things haven't got
porno.
So what was life like covering federal politics in Canberra yesterday, Phil?
Oh, look, yeah, pretty, sort of depressing, to be honest. I think as it was anywhere you're around in the world yesterday when Putin did what he did and went into the Ukraine at about middle of the afternoon our time. I think everyone had been hoping it wouldn't happen, but expecting it would, and it pretty much unfolded exactly as the US government, our government, and the British and others had been led to believe. So yeah, it's just it is just so absolutely unnecessary and unprovoked and unwarranted and potentially damaging in so many ways. Not just in Europe but to the world. That it's just depressing. You get out of COVID and then this maniac goes and does this. So it just sort of plunges us all into a new era of uncertainty.
Phil, Putin's warning about if anybody gets involved in this, he'll unleash a response, the consequences of which will be unlike anything the world has ever seen. I mean, clearly that's pointing very strongly at his preparedness to do anything, including potentially the use of nuclear weapons. Given his...
I mean, that's the general interpretation. I mean, it was a... I don't know if you saw the speech he was giving as the troops rolled in, but it was an absolute rant of a madman. Mind you, some of the rhetoric Donald Trump used to use, when he warned of hideous consequences and things like that. So whether he would actually do it might be another thing, but you wouldn't want to find out, I guess, and that's why. Yeah, this is a very different set of circumstances. This isn't like some sort of ragtag terrorist army or something. This is a superpower, and there's absolutely no appetite by anyone to actually engage Russia militarily inside the Ukraine. That's why they're all trying to do it through sanctions and so forth. So, they take ages to work if they work at all, and the last person to go hungry is usually is Putin and his henchmen. So I think we'll be digging in for a long grind here.
Well, what does the world do then? I mean, is there a way where you can marshal, almost the entirety of the planet against Russia to the point where you cut it off?
No, look, that's the aim, and the aim is to just sort of destroy them economically and try and break them. I mean, it was interesting. There was a sort of protest, quite large protest inside Russia against this. You were sort of led to believe this is some great nationalistic moment, to reclaim the old Soviet Union that everyone's behind in Russia, but clearly it's not. So there is the potential there to sort of to sort of divide from within, and that's the ultimate aim. But that requires a unanimous resolve around the world, David. And you've got problems with so much of Europe relying on Russian gas and oil, and they're going into winter there. So that's going to test the resolve of the Europeans. And, of course, the big one's China. Peter Dutton, the defence minister, just said in the last little while, China could stop this now. But they're in cahoots with Putin. President Xi, the other great gangster who's sort of running wild at the moment. They hooked up at the Olympics, formed this sort of sinister partnership, and this was all timed to begin at the end of the Winter Olympics. And, of course, we're all worried that China's just going to wait and see just how sort of impotent the West is now, and then they'll do the same and go into Taiwan, and that's now the next great fear. So this thing has the potential to spread quite rapidly into our region as well, and that's why the government's exercised as it is. So, but China could stop this tomorrow. They will help Russia get around sanctions any way they can. Whether it's allowing Russians to put their money into China. They've already said they're going to start buying Russian wheat and stuff like that, and we know China has enormous sort of purchasing powers. So, without them, it's going to make it a lot harder to actually bring Russia to heel.
A couple of other Australian storylines coming out of this that I'm interested to see. You take this wherever you want, Phil. It would appear to me to be the potential for the Australian gas industry if this is on for a prolonged period, and Europe has a massive appetite for gas at the moment. They mainly source from Russia. The impact on the Australian economy by way of increase in the price of oil per barrel is another element to this. And then also, this is happening against the backdrop of federal election here in Australia. So what do you think the biggest storyline out of this for the Australian people in an Australian context is going to be?
I think it's both those things you mentioned. We also, petrol, look, the PM and the Energy Minister, everyone said yesterday, look, petrol's going to go up. And we saw the price of Brent crude went through $100 a barrel, straight after the invasion. So, it could go to like $2.10 a litre. It's interesting the Australian government and the Japanese and others talked about, they're sort of working about tapping into their domestic fuel reserves. We've got fuel stockpiled in the US and stuff just to try and sort of increase the flow a bit. The International Energy Agency says it should only be a temporary spike, and of course, the Middle East can increase production and do those sorts of things. So, brace, I'd say, for a temporary spike in petrol prices, as if we needed that. Gas should stay steady because our domestic supply is solid, and our exports are at chock-a-block. So even if Europe said we need more gas, we actually can't send more gas overseas than we're sending now. So that may be rediverted to different markets, but it's not going to come at the expense of domestic gas. So they're the sort of two fuel concerns. But you're right about the election. I mean, and I've been saying this for a while. This just has the potential to just change the whole landscape. As we saw in 2001, in the wake of 9/11, and national security comes to the fore. People become reluctant to change government. I mean, this government does have a fairly solid, national security, credentials. People like Dutton and Morrison are fairly hard line, and suddenly, Labor's having to rush around and try and remain relevant, and do press conferences backing everything the government does. And we've seen this before, that they can easily sort of be dealt out of the picture, so it just naturally benefits Scott Morrison, regardless of everything else that's going on.
Great analysis as always, Phil. Have a great weekend, mate. Phil Curry, the National Political Editor of the Australian Financial Review.
Yeah, that was absolutely fascinating. It's 14 minutes to 8. We're going to check traffic. We'll have a quick break, and when we return, there's going to be an opportunity for you to book the last carload of people along to the final session of Metropolitan Drive-In action in Adelaide. It's at the main line, closing. Last one tomorrow night. Ghostbusters Afterlife is the movie that you'll see. You just need to tell us a movie star. We've played you one clue. The next one's coming up shortly. First, traffic. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. At Mile End, got a smash on South Road near Henley Beach Road. Darlington got works on the Flagstaff Road upgrade continuing near the South Road intersection. Woodville Park, works continue. Port Road near Kilkenny Road. Got one lane out of action this morning. Speeds at 40 and pretty slow going. And look out for cameras. Everard Avenue, Keswick. Goodwood Road, Kirlite Gardens and Nottage Terrace at Medini Gardens. A little bit of help brought to you by NRMA Insurance, who are proud to be helping right across South Australia as part of the same family as SGIC. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Nothing beats that new car experience, and you'll still be feeling it long after you drive away in a new Kluger 7-seat hybrid SUV from Jarvis Toyota. With all-wheel drive hybrid power and intelligent safety technology, the Kluger is where freedom meets family, and Jarvis have stock ready for immediate delivery. Rediscover the road in the all-new Toyota Kluger hybrid at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park, proudly celebrating 20 years of great deals.
We lost Dad to prostate cancer.
Breast cancer nearly took Mum away.
My little brother is living with leukemia.
My pa caught his bowel cancer early.
Make your donation as personal as your story. You can target the cancer that's hurt you most with Cancer Council SA. Learn more or donate at cancersa.org.au.
Now, from everything we've seen and heard, Classical Mystery Tour is proving to be a fringe winner. And the team are back on stage at 6:30 this evening. So what are you waiting for? All you need is love. That's one of the hits they'll play. But you also need a ticket to that great Beatles show, as people are calling it.
That's right, if you're not stuck in ISO, get along. Classical Mystery Tour, it's an all-Adelaide 21-piece rock band and orchestra's take on the Beatles' hit-laden 1967 album Magical Mystery Tour. We're talking about the real classics here, songs such as Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields Forever, I Am the Walrus, Full on the Hill, All You Need Is Love, and more.
6:30pm outdoor venue at the Moa in Gluttony. Classical Mystery Tour, that Beatles show. Tickets at fringetix.com.au.
At Fairmont Homes, we're excited to provide you better value than ever. Build now with Fairmont and receive luxury kitchen and bathroom upgrades, plus free air for no extra cost. And now for just $3.5K, choose from higher ceilings, solar or SmartStone bench tops. For more information, visit fairmonthomes.com.au. Fairmont Homes are built for life. Down for South Australia. T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
11 minutes to 8. John Blake's musical rap of the week coming up in a moment, but we want to send some people off to the mainline drive-in first. Here is clue number 2, and you can call in now on 8223 0055 if you think you know the movie star the clues are alluding to.
Listen, I admire your zeal, and I think you have some very good ideas, but you know nothing about the realities of my industry. You can set up an iChat, but you don't know how people think.
Actually, I minored in psychology.
Okay, kiddo, fire me.
Okay, 8223 0055. I think I've got it.
I think I've got it too, and I think it's one of my favourite films of the last 20 years. I think if it's the film I'm thinking of.
I reckon that was Up in the Air, wasn't it? That was that film.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've never spoken about this. I think it's a terrific movie as well. So do I. It's really good.
I love that film. It validates my loathing of the whole corporate sort of...
Of course.
Yeah.
It's an underrated movie, you're right.
Oh, it's a terrific
I almost just gave away...
film.
I was literally just about to say, and what about so-and-so in it? And that might have given it away. Helen Nalbert Park, do you know the movie star we're after?
I think it's George Clooney.
Yep. Well, Helen, you're off to the drive-in.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That sounds fantastic.
Have you seen that movie, Up in the Air?
Yes, it's amazing.
It's a great film, isn't it? It's a very sad, melancholy film.
It is a very melancholy film, and George Clooney is marvellous, so enough is said.
Yeah. Hey, Helen, when was the last time you went to the drive-in?
I think you probably feel the way about George Clooney, judging from your tone of voice, Helen, as I do about Vera Farmiga, who's in that film.
No, it's great. I can't remember the last time I went to the drive-in, so I'm absolutely thrilled to be going right now.
Oh,
fantastic.
Well, good. You've snuck it in just at the end. Good on you, Helen. Congratulations to you.
Here's a timely factoid. Vera Farmiga is Ukrainian.
Is that right?
Yeah. She's great in The Departed too.
She is. She's a terrific actress. There's a lot of really sad stories coming through on social media at the moment about Ukrainian nationals that are in this impossible situation. Those that work internationally about trying to work it. Do you go back to your country at this time? Do you leave? They're just people that were, there are people that are living their lives that are working in other countries, might have been on holiday and doing other things that are right now wondering what's the right call? What do you do? There's a couple of there's a Ukrainian heavyweight boxing champ at the moment who said he's going to fly back to the country, and other people are saying, well, they can't get back. Just an impossible situation for people of Ukrainian extraction to work out. What do you do at a time like this? There's no playbook for how you handle it and what you do with your family and your home and all that kind of stuff. Expecting some more developments that will play to you at 8:15 this morning out of Ukraine if you're awaiting an update on the situation there. Let's check the traffic, the weather first. It's 29 today. That'll be the expected top ahead of a pretty nice weekend. 29 Saturday, 29 Sunday, 28 on Monday, 27 Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we get to 31 on Thursday. It is time for John Blake. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. They're looking for subcontract drivers right now. Call 13 13 64. That's 13 13 64.
Well, we're in election mode. Isn't it exciting? And, of course, the real issue people are always concerned about is corflutes on Stobie poles.
You keep saying you'll do something for me. I should vote for you because you're the best. You put up your corflutes on the Stobies, and we're out driving looking at your mess. get shoved right up you. You keep lying when you ought to be truthin'. And I didn't have to change that line one bit. You all like to see your faces up there, but I have to say most of you look like shit. Cork flutes when I'm out walking are mucking up my view. One of these days cork flutes are gonna get shoved right up you. Are you ready, flutes? Start shoving.
Also this week, Premier Stephen Marshall was very generous, giving away dinner vouchers worth $30. I'm not sure when it was that the Premier last paid for dinner, but I think it was around 50 years ago.
We started off with one cocktail, 2 Chardonnays and a Cooper's Pale. Got kinda hot then under our collars. Even with the voucher we were short $10. Well, when would be the last time? When would be the last time? When was the last time you paid for a meal? Are you for real?
And the other funny thing that happened was that on Tuesday, the date was the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022. Lots of twos, all in a row.
Just got home from my employ, so excited, oh boy. The calendar has told me something I didn't know before. It's February 22nd, looked at my watch to checkin'. It's 2022 for sure. Economic turbulence and violence and war. The important things aren't interesting, no, not anymore. What is more exciting and well worthwhile highlighting? It's 2022 for sure.
Always enjoy the musical rap of the week. More from John Blake coming up after 8:30 when we go behind closed doors. It is nice to have a laugh. I tell you, the texts are having a laugh at the moment.
Laughing.
They're all. I'm not sure I've ever seen a more serious text line. A lot of serious commentary about what's happening in the world at the moment on 0448081395. The Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Wendy says Putin is obsessive, dangerous, and may I say deranged. He must be dealt with now. Thank you, Wendy. Another person says, I can't believe people still think that Ukraine is expendable and that Putin will stop there. He wants access to the Baltic Sea, and the Baltic countries are next. Yeah, you look at a map, and Kaliningrad suddenly looks ominous, perched between Poland and Lithuania there. Ben says, I think the war should be called Putin's war and not Russia's war, as the people would have no say. Anyone who questions the nutcase Putin ends up in Siberia. There have been protests that have been filmed in St. Petersburg and other places in Moscow this morning, which you just remark at the courage of people to protest on the streets of Russia at a time like this.
Is there actually a Russian election scheduled? Or is he just sort of... is there a chance that the guy can be voted out? I mean, given that... opposition leaders have been poisoned, disappeared?
No. Well, look, there are, quote unquote elections now. I'm not sure.
So he's pretty much sort of president for life.
Yeah. Oh, they changed the rules so he could be. They had limiting terms previously, and he made.
That's right. They did, didn't they?
They did. He got rid of that, so he could be president for life. But he went back in at 98%. Favourability, but I'm not sure there's any independent vetting of what's going on there. Someone's asked the question. A lot of people wanted this.
He's 69 years old, so he's going to be with us for a while.
Wayne says, what would happen if Putin wasn't around any longer? He asks ominously. A lot of people are asking that question. I reckon, Wayne, the history of what they call decapitation strikes is pretty checkered, because sometimes you get rid of a Putin and you make 5 more Putins, and you just don't know. It depends on the level of support he's probably got within the country and the hierarchy.
Well, that's it. And the sort of the national mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious sort of discussion point for that is the rise of Hitler.
Yep.
But part of that is the sort of post-World War I conditions, the fact that Germany, through the Weimar Republic, wasn't able to prosper, created that huge sense of German disenfranchisement that made the times right for a Hitler. So, yeah, knocking off the leader doesn't necessarily change a nation's mind.
Minute to 8, 5AA News on the way. Then election at 8 coming up next.
The One Adelaide pop-up ticket booth is back. You'll find it at Romeo's Foodland on Rundle Mall. Plus you can score discounted adult tickets to the Friday night, Saturday, Sunday or Monday of One Adelaide 2022. This year celebrates 30 years of One Adelaide with a lineup featuring Paul Kelly, Goanna and the Cat Empire in their farewell essay show. So head into Romeo's Foodland, Rundle Mall anytime between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. from the 21st to 25th of February for discounted adult daily One Adelaide tickets.
For 38 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip. And right now, Steinborner Automotive Gawler has stocked up with 30 hand-picked 2018-19 ZB Commodores. Choose from a range of factory edition or special black edition with black roof and black wheels. That's 2018 and 19 ZB Commodores from $23,990, all with a balance of factory warranty. View all their used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth the trip.
If you want to feel great about the milk you pour in your tea and coffee, over your cereal or in your smoothie, make sure it's from the FIVEaa Milk Company. Because it's a great feeling buying from people who love SA as much as you do. 3 words make all the difference. FIVEaa Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it. Whew, feel like a cuppa now.
FIVEaa Milk Company, celebrating 15 years of SA business. FLurioMilkco.com.au.
Fancy a wine? You'll find a huge hand-picked selection at your local independent SA family liquor store, FIVEaa. Or if you fancy a beer, you'll find the very best local, imported and craft beer at FIVEaa too. But if you fancy spirits, you'll find whiskies, gins and liquors for all tastes at FIVEaa. And you'll find friendly service and advice too. Whatever you fancy, you'll find it at FIVEaa, your local independent SA family liquor stores for over 45 years.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 29 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
Russia's attack on Ukraine has been described as a brazen violation of international law and the basic principles of human decency. 57 Ukrainians have been killed, according to the Health Ministry. 100,000 Ukrainians have been displaced, and Russian forces have seized the Chernobyl power plant. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, one of many world leaders, condemning the invasion.
We will counter the Kremlin's blizzard of lies and disinformation by telling the truth about Putin's war of choice and his war of aggression.
US President Joe Biden says he will not be sending troops to defend Ukraine. Instead, he is stepping up sanctions.
Today, I'm authorizing additional strong sanctions and new limitations on what can be exported to Russia. This is going to impose severe cost on the Russian economy, both immediately and over time.
Australia's Defence Minister is hitting out at China for its response to Russia's attacks on Ukraine. China has stopped short of calling Russia's move into Ukraine an invasion and is urging all sides to exercise restraint. Peter Dutton has told Today it's completely unacceptable for China not to join the rest of the world in standing against Russia.
There's one leader in the world, frankly, who can exert pressure on President Putin, and that is President Xi. China and Russia have entered into this, frankly, unholy alliance, and President Xi has a lot of power that he can exert over President Putin. He's chosen not to do that, and the world should observe that very closely.
There's been an armed hold-up at a Woodville Park service station. Senior Constable Matt Brown says it happened just after 5 this morning.
A man has entered the service station with an axe in hand and demanded money from the till. Cash was stolen and the offender was seen running from the service station north on David Terrace.
The hunt for the offender continues. The cause of a unit fire south of the city has been deemed suspicious but undetermined. The vacant unit on Rufus Crescent at Christie Downs went up in flames around 11:30 last night. The results from the latest Bank SA monitor are out. Consumer confidence is at its lowest level in 2 years, while business confidence has also dropped since last October's survey. The bank's David Firth says it's more than just the effects of Omicron that have impacted results.
SA businesses and consumers has decreased due to the ongoing impact of Omicron, but it's actually the consumer's perception of a decrease in business activity that's sort of having the biggest impact on consumer confidence.
And there are renewed concerns about the Queen's health after she cancelled more virtual audiences. Her Majesty was diagnosed with COVID just under a week ago. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Several youngsters will have a chance to impress for the Crows when they play their practice match against Brisbane in a couple of hours' time on the Gold Coast. Josh Rochelle and Jake Saligo have been included, while Matt Crouch will also play. Wayne Miller isn't in the team, but the club insists he's still on track to play in round one. Port Adelaide will have a look at Josh Sin, Sam Skinner and Jackson Mead when they come up against the Gold Coast this afternoon. That match also being played at Metricon Stadium. Meantime, Essendon has made Neil Danaher a legend, elevating him to the Hall of Fame. Men's tennis will have a new world number one when Australian Open finalist and US Open champion Daniil Medvedev takes over the summit from Novak Djokovic. Craig Gabriel reports.
On Monday, Medvedev will officially become the 27th man to be ranked world number one. He takes over from Novak Djokovic, who's been ranked number one for 361 weeks. There were a number of scenarios for Medvedev to get to number one. One was that he had to reach the quarters in Acapulco and Djokovic lose before the semis in Dubai. Djokovic has lost 6-4, 7-6 in the quarters to Czech player Jiří Veselý.
It's approaching the final stages of the opening round of the Honda Classic in Florida. American Kurt Kitayama leading the way at 6 under. Aussie Matt Jones is the defending champion, but is a fair way back, currently at 2 over with a few holes to play. One game in the NBL overnight with the Cairns Taipans recording only their 4th win of the season after getting past Brisbane by 4 points. The Adelaide 36ers take on Illawarra tonight, while there are 7 games in the NBA today, with Aussies Josh Giddey and Paddy Mills both in action. And in some soccer to finish, it's deep into stoppage time in the English Premier League. Arsenal and Wolverhampton now locked at 1-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. Roads looking pretty good for the drive-in today. Only some roadworks to look out for, which is good news. At Darlington, works on the Flagstaff Road upgrade continue near the South Road intersection. Woodville Park, works on Port Road near Kilkenny Road also continuing. Got one lane out of action there. And Myrtle Bank, speeds reduced around the intersection of Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Road, just out the bottom of the freeway. Got some cameras too. Lily Street, Blairathal and Port Road Hindmarsh. Enjoy no join fees at Zap Fitness. Make this summer your success from only $7.99 per week. Limited time only. zapfitness.com.au. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on your car service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
29, mostly sunny today, sunny tomorrow 29 and Sunday the same again. Right now it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Coming up to 8 minutes after 8, election at 8. Coming up in a moment. We'll play some audio from Ukraine, recorded on this program and on Graham Gooding's morning show. That's coming up in a moment that you'll hear in depth shortly, but we'll give you more of a sense of what's happening on the ground there at the moment. That's ahead. As is Police Commissioner Grant Stevens, who yesterday relaxed a swathe of restrictions here in Adelaide and suggested that that might not be the end of it before Election Day, which brings us to Election at 8.
SA decides. Election at 8.
All about health yesterday. in the election campaign. First, it was the Premier, Stephen Marshall, pledging $123 million to upgrade facilities at the Repat, Lyell McEwen, Noarlunga and Modbury hospitals. Here's a little bit of what he said yesterday.
$123 million worth of new money going into capital projects, in addition to the $3 billion which is already underway. And the only reason we can deliver that is because South Australia has a strong and growing economy.
Peter Malinauskas has been talking about health since day one of the campaign, and yesterday promised $2.4 million for improved care for those living with motor neuron disease.
A modest commitment that will make a massive difference to those people it touches, those people who are diagnosed with MND, one of the most insidious diseases in our world today. We need to help these people. Government is capable of helping these people. It's about putting compassion at the heart of our health policy.
So we're at basically the end of the first week of the campaign. David, what's your assessment of where it's at? How do you think it's going?
I think that Stephen Marshall is in trouble. I would go further. I think Stephen Marshall is in very serious trouble. I think there's a real chance that he's going to lose this election and lose it outright. I think there's a strong chance that Labor will be elected with a majority in its own right. I think that there's clearly a long way to go and a lot can happen over the next 3 weeks, but sitting down and looking at it and talking to people yesterday on both sides, I think the past 2 weeks has shown that in a tactical sense, Stephen Marshall sounds less like a leader and more like an opposition leader. And the Liberals are falling for a bit of a Labor sucker punch here, where they're spending far too much time chasing their tails and critiquing Labor, and not enough time talking about what they've done and what they will do if they're re-elected. Reminds me of the New South Wales state election in 2003 when Bob Carr, who was Premier for 3 terms, very successful politician, during that campaign the Liberal leader was a woman by the name of Kerry Chikarovsky. Now Bob Carr, I moderated the final debate in that election, and one of the first questions our panel asked the then Premier was, can you please say her name? Can you please say the name of the opposition leader? And he smirked, and in the final hour of the election campaign, he finally said the words Kerry Chikarovsky. He didn't even acknowledge her existence for the duration of that campaign, and he won in a landslide. And I think that what we are seeing is that the Liberals are, in a tactical sense, pumping up Malinauskas' tyres. I think that one of the classic examples of that was their preparedness to engage on the question of his appearance at the swimming pool. I know the Premier was being jocular about it and made, quite a funny offhanded remark about how he had to lay off the carbs. But the fact that they then sort of tried to spin it as some kind of Vladimir Putin-style stunt, all it did was amplify the attention on Malinauskas, and I think that a lot of the mainstream takeout for people was not, oh, there's a politician making an idiot of himself, rather there's a dad jumping into a pool with his daughter and having a bit of fun. I mean, it wasn't like he'd taken his shirt off at a press conference about tax policy. He was actually at a swimming pool wearing his bathers. But the upshot of it all is that on the V8s, and this week, every single day, health, the Libs don't want to be fighting the election on health.
Well,
I reckon they really need to change tack, or they're going to be stuffed.
There is that adage that you'd be familiar with in campaigning, David. It's a tactical choice that parties will make. Certainly if you're the incumbent. You don't ever want to elevate your opposition to your level. They try to, if you're the incumbent, you try not to stand on a stage with them. You try not to share equal billing at events, and so there's pictures of you next to each other, and so people can picture the opposition leader as the Premier, and they see you as equals. You want to create an environment where there's you can vote for the Premier and the government that delivers, or a politician, someone lesser in some way. But yeah, you're right. This doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like they are on level pegging. And the about face late in this week to suddenly talking about health when the message and clearly the pre-chosen choice for this week had been all about jobs it feels reactionary. It does feel reactionary.
It does, and the Premier sounds defensive. I mean, we asked him that question the other morning, and it's like, you got to be kidding. It's like, well, you know, I think the other thing too, the times no longer suit the Premier. I think incumbency is going from being a blessing to a curse. 6 months ago, if this election were held in the midst of the pandemic, when everybody, regardless of whether they historically have been Labor voters or Liberal voters, people were more fearful, they were less questioning, they were more compliant, and they simply wanted the government of the day to be correct in its strategy. Now we're at a point, particularly after the borders have opened, where it feels like the community split 50-50 about the wisdom of having opened those borders. And the other thing too for Stephen Marshall, and it's a criticism we've made a lot over the past 12 months, and it's a criticism that comes most strongly from traditional Liberal voters in the business community, is that when it comes to the management of the pandemic, he looks like the bloke who was just standing behind the police commissioner nodding for the last 18 months. Whether he likes it or not, that perception exists in the community, and he has a lot of work to do if he's going to save himself, I reckon.
Interesting to assess the state of play after the weekend come Monday. A lot might have changed. We'll do it all in election at 8, each and every day at 8 o'clock in the lead up to the election. Just seeing more news coming out of Ukraine as we speak. The Interior Ministry there has banned men aged between 18 and 60 from leaving the country. You get it's just awful. Just looking at the news cycle. Imagine working in that government, living in that country right now, as we saw carloads of people heading west, heading towards the border in a place like Poland, who said you're welcome to the country. Well, now the Ukraine government has said if you're a man between 18 and 60, you've got a duty to your country. And it was part of the plan yesterday when they announced a state of emergency. They were drafting in military reservists of people within that age bracket, and now they've been told they can't leave the country. It starts our wrap of some of the things that have been developing over the course of the morning. We took you to Ukraine, to the city of Lviv a little bit earlier, and spoke with Jeff Parry.
West of Kiev, I'm in a place called Lviv. It's another big city. But obviously, everyone was pretty shocked, I think, at what's transpired. The Americans were saying it was going to happen, it's going to happen. A lot of people thought, it'll never happen. He wouldn't be that stupid. And then he's just sent the troops in, and he's been posturing for, weeks and weeks, putting, 120,000, now 200,000 troops around Ukraine, and then decided, while the UN Security Council was meeting, to flick the switch and sent them in.
What did you see in the last 12 hours, Jeff, or what have you heard? Have you been in the vicinity of any of the missile strikes or anything like that?
There was one we went looking for today. It was at a radar facility just north of where I am in Lviv. There's another one that hit the airport just to the south. But most of the strikes have been on eastern cities. Kiev in particular, that's the seat of government, so Putin wants them out, and they've been, and it's also because that's where the government buildings are, that's where the military headquarters are. So they've been hitting. That's why they've been hitting that. The Russians deny that they're targeting cities. The Ukrainians say the Russians are bombing hospitals. So I mean that's the fog of war. But there's some big fighting being going on in the Chernobyl area. Heard just a short time ago that Russia has actually captured the old nuclear power station. Didn't even know it was defended because it is that is what it is. And there were some people there. They've taken them hostage, but I don't know why you would want that. But it sounds like it's more strategic than anything else, and that they are sort of mounting up for a crack at Kiev.
Former Foreign Minister Julie Bishop spoke on Sky News just a short time ago. She's obviously had some dealings in her political career with the Russian government. Here's what she had to say.
Events are clearly unfolding very quickly, and this is a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. I had expected that President Putin would enter into eastern Ukraine on the pretext of the invitation from the two states that he's now recognised as independent states. But this is a full-scale invasion, and it will evolve over the next few days. Obviously, militarily, Ukraine could easily be overwhelmed by the Russian military might, and I think that, without doubt, President Putin has gambled that the US and Western countries, including NATO, will not enter into a military conflict with Ukraine, but will impose sanctions.
You listen to someone like Julie Bishop, and some of the other leaders, Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, that we've played across the morning, feels like they were playing a card game and they were expecting their opponent to be bluffing. And they tried to call it, and Vladimir Putin wasn't bluffing. He was willing to go and do this all the way. You just hear the shock in everyone who deals with this situation, the policymakers. They just felt as though this was a tried and tested playbook. He wanted something. He was going to threaten military aggression. They were going to threaten sanctions, and the whole thing would get sorted out. But it didn't this time.
Well, this again, it's the great Western weakness is sometimes we're too nice by half.
Oh, I think that's 100% right.
We made the failed character assessment of this lunatic that surely even Vladimir Putin wouldn't do something that outrageous.
Yeah.
And he just did.
After 9 o'clock, Graham Goodings takes over. He's going to chat with a lady by the name of Yana, who is on the ground in Ukraine. Here's a little bit of that chat that you'll hear in full later.
Yeah, well, I'm in Kharkiv, and it's very close, probably the closest spot to the Russian border and everything what is going on. Yeah, we are about 30 kilometers from Russian border. And the Russian troops, the military attack and tanks moved towards the Kharkiv. So the first attack was stopped.
As I say, you'll hear that full interview a little bit later in the morning. It is the 25th of February today, which is George Harrison's birthday. Would have been 79 today, the former Beatle.
Little darling,
Used to the George Harrison component of the Beatles following the most recent documentary about the team. I mean, he's always been celebrated as a musical genius in his own right, but was he an upstart? Was he mistreated and dismissed by Paul and John? The dynamic is really fascinating, and it's for some people, I think, changed the way they look at George Harrison, but in no uniform way. Some people say, well, it elevated him. Others say, oh, no, he clearly wasn't on their level. It's a fascinating insight among many.
He wrote a lot of their best songs.
He did.
They should have written more. They should have let him do more. He's a terrific songwriter.
Yeah, geez, they dismissed him and then said, "Yeah, maybe we should get Eric Clapton in." It was pretty cruel, actually, some of that. But then George kind of wanted to have his say a lot by that point in the band's tenure. Let's have a look at the fuel situation. Thanks to Fuel Watch, this too is now something of an international story. A new and independent home for BMW now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today. More and more outlets heading to that $1.99 mark, but if they're in the $1.60s, you'll hear about them here on Fuel Watch. United Torrens Road, Pennington, $61.5. United South Road, Melrose Park, $63.7. On the Run, Greenhill Road, Linden Park, $63.9. Diesel around the low $80s mark. Best we found was United Main North Road, Paraka, $69.9. Glenelg BMW also bring us traffic, and if you've got an existing BMW service inclusive package, you can get your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Thanks, Will. At Myrtle Bank got speeds reduced for the intersection works today. That's around Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Road, just the bottom of the freeway. Woodville Park works continuing there. Port Road near Kilkenny Road got a lane out of action inbound. Speeds at 40. It's pretty sluggish at the moment. Busy today, Cross Road, Victoria Avenue to Unley Road. And we've got cameras Port Road, Hindmarsh, Park Tourist Bowden. The King 45th anniversary sale is on now. Save up to 50% on Australian design award-winning furniture. Sale on now. Visit the King Keswick showroom today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie Sports Show.
The big year ahead for my next guest. He's an Olympic gold, silver and bronze medalist. SA's very own Cole Chalmers. Port Adelaide, are you hopeful they can go one better this year and make a grand final?
Oh, I'm always very hopeful this time of year.
I got a big call Thursday. The Crows will beat Port twice in the two showdowns, round 3 and round 23, Cole.
Far out, that is a big call.
4 p.m. weekdays. You want to have a bet?
I'll be very, very disappointed if that happens. You won't see me in Adelaide for the rest of the year.
Rowie Sports Show on 5AA.
Peaceful living awaits at the 19th at West. With uninterrupted golf course views, pristine beaches and a new cafe and retail precinct opening in March, the best of the West is at your fingertips. The architectural homes on offer allow for effortless living. Brand new 3 and 4 bedroom designs are coming soon to West. Register your interest for the new collection today. the19thwest.com.au.
Why would you put South Australia's healthcare system in the hands of Labor? As Labor's Health Minister, Peter Malinauskas closed the Repat Hospital and was part of the Labor government that slashed our health system. Labor downgraded emergency departments at Modbury, Noarlunga and Queen Elizabeth hospitals and closed the high dependency unit at Modbury Hospital. Can we really risk going back to Labor?
Authorised by S. Meldrum for the Liberal Party of Australia, SA Division, Adelaide. Spoken by S. Marshall and M. Munt.
Have you got your tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation home lottery yet? Because if you purchase your tickets before midnight tonight, you could win a new Lexus UX. There's 5 bonus draws with 5 lucky Lexus winners.
That's right, Will. Drive away in a brand new Lexus UX valued at more than $66,000, ready to roll with 12 months rego, just for getting your tickets before midnight tonight.
Plus, your tickets remain in the draw for all the incredible prizes, including the early bird and grand prize draws of those incredible 2 Scott Salisbury homes at Summerton Park. Check the Home Lottery website for opening times. Be sure to go in and check them out. Do yourself a favour on a nice sunny Saturday afternoon. Walk along the Esplanade at Summerton Park, then duck in a bit and check out these homes. I did it. It was a great way to spend an afternoon, and they are beautiful homes. You could be living the dream mortgage-free.
What a great part of town too. By buying a ticket, you're joining the fight for world-leading research, improved treatment and vital healthcare services in our community. Get your ticket before midnight tonight to be in the bonus Lexus draws. Visit homelottery.com.au.
It's okay to want more, which is why more and more people choose Mawson Lakes Volkswagen to service their car, especially Volkswagen owners. At Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, we offer state-of-the-art servicing, complimentary loan cards, next-day servicing, and breakfast or lunch is on us. Why? Because when you're Adelaide's newest Volkswagen dealer, you want to give more. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city. Visit mawsonlakesvw.com.au and book your service today.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes after 8, we gave away the last carload of tickets to the mainline drive-in at Jepps Cross final session tomorrow. Final session ever. Final session for drive-ins in South Australia, in the metropolitan drive-ins, I should say. So it's a significant day in history. We had the tickets thanks to our partnership with the wonderful charity Variety, the children's charity. So our plea to everyone who's going along on the day: eat, drink, be merry. If you won $10.80, like so many of our listeners did in the lottery last night, spend it at this event because it all goes to Variety.
$10.80?
Yeah, spend your $10.80 there. It all goes to this wonderful cause. But as we've been saying, it is a moment in South Australian history as well. Glenn Berry has been a part of that history for a long part of it. He's been a circuit manager at Wallace for the past 40 years. So, Glenn, it must be somewhat of a sad occasion.
Yeah, morning, Dave. Well, it is very sad. I've been out in the gate the last couple of weeks just greeting people as they've come in the gates. We've had people travel 4.5 hours. We had a lady and a man the other night come down from Port Augusta. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Oh, look, we were saying before, is it a sort of bittersweet thing at the moment, seeing all these people coming and thinking, geez, if only it was, we could have pulled off this level of patronage for the past decade?
It is, and a lot of people don't understand. They see the queue down to the Jepps Cross intersection, and they don't understand. You rewind 12 months, 2 years ago, and you're getting a tenth of the volume of cars through on a quiet night.
So, Glenn, 40 years ago, what was your first job with Wallace, and what was your first interaction with the drive-in at Jepps Cross?
I started when I was 16, so if you do the maths on that, so I started off our Academy Cinemas. So I worked there for many years until we closed it and sold the property down there, and then worked at various locations. So I've just been helping the drive-in off and on in the last few years when they get busy or relieving out there. It's been an integral part of the Wallace family's business for well over 40 years.
I tell you what, you made me feel a bit misty-eyed about the past. Going to the Academy, what was it called? Academy Cinema City, wasn't it?
Yeah, Academy Cinema City. Started off as 2 cinemas, and they built 4, and then we finished up with 5. So we closed it. Actually, can you remember what the last movie was there?
I can't, sorry, mate.
No, Die Hard 4.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I tell you what I can remember. Best collection of pinball machines anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it used to be pretty busy on a Friday afternoon. All the kids finished school, used to come down and chuck their school in the corner, and off they go down to the pool.
Yeah, that was great. And there were 2 rooms of amusement, weren't there? There was the big one and the small one off to the side.
We used to put staff on, and their sole job was looking after the pinball machines in the afternoon.
I love it. Cinemas and the drive-in is, it's a place you're going to have a good time. It's just. I love to go. There's nothing more I love than going to the movies, Glenn. And you and the whole Wallace team and the family have done such a wonderful job in entertaining people. And this is the end of a chapter, but I reckon there'll be still plenty of enjoyment and movies watched over the ensuing decades here in South Australia. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Glenn.
Glenn Berry, the circuit manager for Wallace for some 40 years. 29 minutes after 8, 5AA News is on the way. Police Commissioner Grant Stevens will join us in just a moment.
Get ready to meet your muse with the all-new Kia Sportage medium SUV. We unleashed our imagination to give you dominating presence and commanding luxury. The Kia Sportage has a strikingly sculpted exterior and soft touch leather interior. SUVs, meet your master. To find out more, visit kia.com.au or head to your nearest Kia dealer.
Kia, movement that inspires.
I don't really like talking on radio, but I do like talking about our cows at the FIVEaa Milk Company. And I love helping support SA dairy farmers. They're a great bunch with beautiful families. They work day and night to produce the best milk in SA. So when you're in the supermarket, look for FIVEaa Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it. I'm getting good at this.
FIVEaa Milk Company, celebrating 15 years of SA business. FIVEaamilkco.com.au.
Sold by McGain again.
And as you know, homes are selling quickly at the moment, so it is important to get along to these open inspections.
Tomorrow from 12 to 12:30, Mike Dobbin and Zoe Ball are opening 43 Nerang Circuit Woodcroft. Perfect for entertaining with a huge pitched veranda and swimming pool. This family has 3 bedrooms, a study, 2 separate living areas, ensuite, ducted reverse cycle aircon, a big solar system, double lock-up carport, and off-street caravan parking as well. 689 to 719K.
Also tomorrow from 1:45 to 2:15, Mike and Zoe are opening 13 Hurtle Court Woodcroft. This low-maintenance courtyard home doesn't compromise on space. It has 3 bedrooms, a large open-plan living area, ducted aircon, gas heating, veranda entertaining and a good-sized backyard, all backing onto a beautiful reserve, 435 to 465K.
For all the info, take a look at these properties and all the McGain listings at mcgain.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny, 29 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
Russian forces have seized the Chernobyl power plant as Britain and America step up sanctions in response to the invasion of Ukraine. Brett McLeod reports.
The site of the world's worst nuclear power plant disaster is now in Russian hands after they pushed back Ukrainian forces just 2 hours by road from the capital, Kyiv. In response, US President Biden has announced every asset Russia has in America will be frozen. Boris Johnson has unveiled to the British Parliament a raft of new sanctions on Russian banks and oligarchs, as well as a ban on the national airline Aeroflot. The European Union is holding an emergency meeting in Brussels on further sanctions, with some former Soviet states fearful Vladimir Putin's military ambitions extend beyond Ukraine's borders, the future of Europe itself facing its greatest uncertainty since 1945.
Citizens have flocked to makeshift bomb shelters in shock as they come under rocket attack. This woman is in a subway station in Ukraine's second largest city with her family. She's told CNN, despite the threat, they never thought Russia would invade.
We never really believed that our neighbor can just come and just grab our land and tell us what to do. And we are an independent country, Ukraine, and we are totally not same as Russians. And we don't want to be a part of Russia.
Thousands of Ukrainians are fleeing across the border to Poland. The country has set up camps, food and medical supplies. The push is on to put an Australian astronaut back into space. It's part of a $65 million boost to create more investment and high-tech jobs in the sector. The mission will be coordinated through the Australian Space Agency in Adelaide. Police are at the scene of a car crash at Emeroo near Port Augusta. Senior Constable Matt Brown says one of the passengers suffered serious injuries.
Just after 3 a.m. today, police and emergency services were called to Yorkeys Crossing Road, just north of Port Augusta, after a car with 5 men inside had crashed and rolled.
A service station at Woodville Park has been held up. A man with an axe demanded money at the David Terrace outlet just after 5 this morning. He did a runner with cash but jumped in a car nearby. The victim was not physically injured. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
And the Crows and Port are in action today, Tom Wren.
Yeah, they certainly are. They've got practice matches on the Gold Coast, Mel. The weather's looking pretty terrible up there, but they're still going to play at this stage. Adelaide's taken an extended 25-man squad to face the Lions. That match at Metricon Stadium. Port has named a 30-man squad for its pre-season practice match against the Suns. Well, Australian legend Greg Norman has come out fighting, accusing PGA Tour Chief Jay Monahan of bullying, intimidation and likely violation of the law. The Great White Shark has spoken up after a week when his planned Saudi-backed Super League looked to be on its last legs, after a host of top players declared they were staying loyal to the US-based tour. The PGA Tour said players faced bans if they took part in the Rebel Super League. Norman has issued a statement where he has threatened the PGA Tour with legal action, and he finished by saying, "Commissioner, this is just the beginning. It certainly is not the end." Meantime, American Kurt Kitayama still holds a one-shot lead late in the first round of the Honda Classic in Florida. Lucas Herbert, the best of the Aussies, currently 8 shots off the pace. Well, Russia's invasion of Ukraine is wreaking havoc on the sporting world. UEFA will reportedly move the Champions League final away from St. Petersburg. 4-time Formula One champion Sebastian Vettel says he'll boycott the Russian Grand Prix. The ATP has cancelled a Challenge Tennis Tour event in Moscow next week. And in some soccer to finish, it's full time in the English Premier League with Arsenal grabbing a dramatic 96-minute winner to record a 2-1 win against Wolverhampton. That result sees them now in 5th place, just 1 point outside the top 4. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for service? Receive complimentary vehicle pick-up and drop-off at Glenelg BMW.
At Darlington, got works on the Flagstaff Road upgrade continuing. That's in the South Road intersection. Woodville Park, works on Port Road near Kilkenny Road continuing. Pretty slow going at the moment, down to 40 k's, got 1 lane out of action. And Myrtlebank speeds also reduced there. That's for those works around Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Road, just out the bottom of the freeway. Busy Fullerton Road, Wattle Street to Glen Osmond Road and Canberra South Road, Edwards Town Park, Terrace Bowden. From bars to butchers, enjoy zero-cost FPOS with SmartPay. No more terminal rental, no more merchant fees. Visit smartpay.com.au. Minimum turnover and T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
29 today and mostly sunny. Sunny tomorrow, 29. Sunday much the same and 29 as well. Right now it's 21 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Singer, storyteller, vocal chameleon. Don't miss Stuart Reeve, star of Bowie Circus Tribute Rebel, as he returns to Gluttony this fringe in Stuart Reeve, Chameleon. Book at gluttony.net.au.
At Fairmont Homes, we're excited to provide you better value than ever. Build now with Fairmont and receive luxury kitchen and bathroom upgrades, plus free air for no extra cost. And now for just $3.5K, choose from higher ceilings, solar or SmartStone bench tops. For more information, visit fairmonthomes.com.au. Fairmont Homes are built for life.
Down to South Australia.
T's and C's apply.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 9 behind closed doors coming up. If you collected a code word by watching 9 News last night, you want to get along to the Fringe, stay listening. We'll give you a chance to win those tickets. before 9 o'clock today. But first, let's check in with the Police Commissioner, Grant Stevens, who announced yesterday a raft of restrictions that will be lifted as of midnight tonight. Hospitality restrictions will be lifted with stand-up drinking allowed, where you have one person per 2 square metres indoors. There'll be 3 people per 4 square metres where only seated consumption happens. Buffets are back, which has David very excited. You can do all manner of other things that changed yesterday. And the exciting part for those that people want more freedom is that we flagged the potential for there to be more changes in the coming weeks. Police Commissioner Grant Stevens, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys.
Some great news yesterday, Commissioner. It must be a nice feeling, because I know you've made a lot of decisions over the last 2 years with a heavy heart. It must be nice being the bearer of good news for a change.
Well, it is, David, but I have to say there's an element of trepidation because, to be quite blunt, we are taking risks. We are looking at all of the information we have at our fingertips, and we're making a call in relation to easing things up, which has the potential to allow COVID-19 to spread more quickly through our community. So we're trying to find that balance. It is good to be able to tell people that things are coming back online, but there is that hesitation that we don't want things to go in the wrong direction. So we still need people to do the right thing. We need people to remember their own personal hygiene obligations, and as frustrating as they are, continue wearing masks when you can't physically distance, because they are the first line of defence.
We saw a spike in cases earlier this week, and yet restrictions have still been relaxed subsequent to that. So what's the data point you're looking at now that gives you some confidence that we can free things up?
Yeah, there have been peaks and troughs in the daily case numbers, and we do watch those quite closely, but I think the predominant factor that we are looking at very closely is hospitalisation rates. We need to know and be confident that the health system is able to accommodate people who require medical assistance as a result of COVID-19 or any other medical condition, and those numbers are looking pretty good. In fact, they've come down quite substantially, which means we do have capacity, and that gives us the ability to make some of these changes. The other thing that we're noticing is, if you compare the case numbers with hospitalisation rates, is that while people are getting COVID, and I think there wouldn't be too many people in South Australia now who don't know at least 1 or 2 people who have had it, is that people are feeling pretty crappy for a couple of days, but then they're bouncing back pretty quickly. It's not as severe as we thought it might be, which is very good news.
Commissioner, like a lot of South Australians, I'm currently in isolation, and it's specifically because of the scenario you just outlined. My daughter's boyfriend got COVID, so we're all close contacts on account of seeing him. Is the abolition of the close contact rule, or the winding back of the close contact rule, one of the last things that will go? Because it has huge impact on productivity. I know that Wednesday, when we found out that he was positive, I had a whole bunch of work that I was meant to be doing, and it just dropped everything, and it was, okay, we need rats, we need this, we need that. Didn't do any work at all. And in my line of work, that's not the be-all and end-all. It's different if you're someone, say, who's running a coffee shop or something like that.
That's right, yeah. Well, firstly, I'm a bit curious as to how you dress down when you work from home compared to other people.
Well spotted.
You don't want to know what I'm wearing at the moment.
No.
We can only see him from the neck up.
And that's still bad.
Yeah.
So the issue of isolating people who have COVID-19 and close contacts who are required to quarantine was discussed briefly yesterday at the COVID Ready Committee. Professor Spurrier has undertaken to go away and have a look at that and review the arrangements we have in South Australia. And it's important to point out that as we move through our pandemic response, the way we deal with things does change based on the prevailing circumstances. So there may be changes to that before we get any further relaxation of restrictions, but it really is a matter for Professor Spurrier to take a proper and considered view on, and then make changes in accordance with that. But it is not. We're not unaware of the fact that the close contact quarantine particularly does have a significant impact on people. I don't think anyone has an issue with people who are COVID positive being required to isolate. That's obviously sensible. And at a point in time, close contact management may change, and that's being looked at the moment.
That's interesting. Because, I mean, if the disease is, if it becomes as manageable as it is, and to your point, you know, people are feeling crappy for a few days and recovering in most cases, it will get to the point of the common cold where it's not like people have popped in to see you for 10 minutes, 15 minutes will be required legally to not do anything for a week.
That's right. It's just a continuously changing scenario that we're looking at, and things are looking pretty hopeful at the moment, and we're actually giving consideration to when the end of this particular major emergency declaration might come to the fore. But it's just too early to tell, and I think everyone's learned over the last 2 years that the one thing you can guarantee is that COVID-19 keeps on throwing curveballs at us. So I'm optimistic, but cautiously optimistic.
What are the health people telling you at the moment about what the impact of reopening schools has been? Is the expectation that influence on our overall case number has peaked as a variable, or is it still something that you're monitoring closely?
We're still monitoring that, and the peaking daily case numbers that was identified over the course of the last few days is possibly relating to children going back to school, more children contracting COVID-19. But the good news is that children don't seem to be affected by symptoms as severely as adults, even though it is not as severe in adults as the Delta strain was. Obviously, the concern is the children who contract it potentially take it home and pass it on to their family, and then we have to think about the impact on vulnerable family members as well. So there are positives and negatives in everything, but it looks like some of those additional case numbers are attributed to kids, and we're still watching that.
Police Commissioner Grant Stevens, always great to catch up, despite the good-natured sledging. And we'll talk to you again soon.
It's just an observation, it's not sledging.
Makes it worse, I think.
There you go.
That's the Police Commissioner Grant Stevens.
He's right.
That's all right. It's part of one of the perks of the job.
It's not a fashion parade.
No, that's right. They wouldn't have us doing the job. 15 minutes to 9. Let's have a look at the traffic situation. A new independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. In the Parklands, got a smash on Greenhill Road at Fullerton Road. Darlington works on the Flagstaff Road upgrade continue near the South Road intersection. Slow going this morning at Myrtle Bank. Speeds reduced for those works around Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Roads. And we're seeing a fair bit of traffic this morning. Fullerton Road, Waddle Street to Glen Osmond Road. A few cameras about too. Port Road, Cheltenham, Park Terrace, Bowden. Book online now at mycar.com.au and get $100 off your next logbook service. Plus, you'll get 12 months free roadside assistance. Takes and segs apply. Offer ends February 28th. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The time is now. AC8 O'Connell brings new life to this landmark location. An opportunity to tell a new and unique story. A connected community with arts, culture, sport and entertainment on your doorstep. 2, 3 or 4 bedroom apartments with unparalleled views to the city, hills, coast and beyond. The long-awaited display suite is now open, showcasing the incredible lifestyle on offer at AC8 O'Connell. More than an address. AC8 O'Connell, North Adelaide.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is giving 5 lucky ticket holders the chance to drive away in a brand new Lexus, just for getting in early. Plus, your tickets stay in the draws for 2 stunning Scott Salisbury homes in beautiful Somerton Park. There's a catalogue full of prizes, including luxury cars and amazing getaways. Join the fight and get your tickets by midnight tonight at homelottery.com.au. Licence M14133.
Now, this is great news. Genesis Care and Adelaide Oncology and Haematology have partnered to provide integrated cancer care services.
Genesis Care is the largest provider of radiation oncology service in South Australia, whilst Adelaide Oncology and Haematology has a specialised team of medical oncologists, haematologists and allied health professionals, and together they provide integrated cancer care and support at all stages of a patient's cancer journey.
So what this new partnership means is that they can provide an integrated approach to cancer care whereby each patient has a dedicated team of specialists who tailor treatment plans and care specifically to their needs. And that's been widely documented to improved patient outcomes.
Cancer patients in South Australia can now receive access to integrated cancer care and support at all stages of their treatment journey. For more information, call Genesis Care on 8228 6700. That's 8228 6700.
The One Adelaide pop-up ticket booth is back. You'll find it at Romeo's Foodland on Rundle Mall. Plus you can score discounted adult tickets to the Friday night, Saturday, Sunday or Monday of One Adelaide 2022. This year celebrates 30 years of One Adelaide with a lineup featuring Paul Kelly, Goanna and the Cat Empire in their farewell essay show. So head into Romeo's Foodland, Rundle Mall anytime between 10am and 4pm from the 21st to 25th of February for discounted adult daily One Adelaide tickets.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 minutes to 9. It's Gluttony's 10th birthday. We got the chance for you and three friends to win tickets to some of the hottest shows, including a food and drink voucher, plus a Fringe membership pack. Give us a call if you watched 9 News last night and have the daily feature show. 8223 0055 is the number. Get calling now. A few texts coming in on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. Graham says it's 1 year ago today since the SATC let go the staff of the Adelaide 500 with still no replacement event. Pembo did a piece on it at the time, and it's left a big hole in the South Australian event industry. It's a big election issue too, now, obviously.
Certainly is.
Lots of texts following on from election at 8. Roger says, Mike Rand grew fat on the good work of the Karen government, and I fear the Marshall government will not get the credit for the massive amount of work they've done and initiated. We've got a little bit of work to do over the next few weeks of the campaign, it sounds like. Kay says, according to a professor, if they lift restrictions, the number will remain high. We should be listening to the medical advice. Long COVID can affect those with an initially mild infection. And Andrew in Rosedale says, school went back weeks ago. Fringe started an incubation period ago. Stop trying to use kids as scare tactics. Thank you for that, Andrew. 11 to 9. Michael in Highbury has the code word. Morning to you, Michael.
How you going, buddy?
Good, mate. What's the code word?
Good, thanks, mate.
The Defiant.
All right, congratulations. Good on you, Michael. You and three friends off to see the show. Fringe is back for 2021 with principal partner Bank SA. You can get tickets from adelaidefringe.com.au.
Getting a bad case of ennui, or ennui, the French word meaning you wish you were somewhere else, or you feel like there's something good happening somewhere else. Hearing about all these people leaving the house to do fun things on the weekend. When the show finishes, well, I'm going to might move from this room to another room, or I might go and sit in the yard for a bit.
You know what? I genuinely, out of the ad break, there's a cruel and evil part of me that thought I'm going to ask David what he's got planned for the weekend, and I thought, no, I won't do it. He doesn't need a pile on.
You know what is good? In fact, I was just talking to Kate during the news break. She said, well, the one upside is normally I'm running around like a blue-assed you-know-what. I actually bleeped out the wrong word there. There's nothing wrong with saying the word fly on air.
That's that isolation brain it's getting to you.
I know. She's not running around making all the school lunches, which is something. But you know what? Mum and Dad and also Kate and the kids, they both got me $100 Mitre 10 vouchers for Christmas. And luckily, a few weeks ago, I bought like all these bags of potting mix and builder's sand and some scoria for a job I've got involving some of my cactuses. So I've got the backyard at the moment looks like a almost commercially viable landscape supply store. So I've got a hot date with the garden for the next 2 days.
You can get some serious gardening done.
And perfect weather.
Yeah, and it'll be hot, and then just jump in the pool.
Yeah, that's the plan. Hit the old rain wires after I've worked up a sweat.
Doesn't sound so bad. 8 minutes to 9. We should go behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. They're looking for subcontract drivers right now. Call 13 13 64. That's 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed
13.95. Adelaide's 5AA. This is Mike Keelan's Gardening Show.
Right, and welcome back to Michael Keelan's Gardening Show. I'm Michael Keelan and Angie. Hello.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm fine. Angie, what have we got to give away on the show today?
Well, Michael, we've got a fantastic
I'd really love to. I have one. It's a Husqvarna.
Husqvarna, yep.
Yes, Husqvarna pressure washer.
Yep, that's a great prize.
So 8223 for the best caller, and you could win that fabulous Husqvarna pressure washer.
Husqvarna, yep.
Yeah, and it's for the best caller of the morning, but really it's just what Michael Keelan thinks is the best caller. Maybe we should just put all the callers into a hat and draw one out.
Yeah, that might be a lot fairer, Angie, because let's face it, if someone rings with a really tough question that I struggle to answer, that's not going to make me feel very good about myself, so why would I give a prize to that person?
That's a good point, Michael.
And if someone calls up and asks me about something that's right up my alley and I rattle off a bunch of information like I'm some sort of gardening encyclopedia, then of course I'm going to give it to them.
Yes, that's right.
Because the caller made me sound fantastic.
That's right, Michael. And then that beautiful
Husqvarna
pressure washer could be yours.
Yep, and of course if they ring and ask me about football or something like that, then they've got no chance at all.
No, that's right. So you can ring now on 8223 0000 and be in the running or not for that
Husqvarna.
Yeah, pressure washing.
Pressure washer.
Yep.
Husqvarna. It is written down. It looks harder than it is to say once you're across it.
Yes.
Now to give them some cover. 6 minutes to 9. I think we'll give you a couple of moments for a headline to marinate. We'll come back right after this.
There's no blueprints to your new custom-built Beechwood home. Well, not yet anyway. But together with Beechwood, it won't take long to turn your ideas into sketches, then drawings, and finally a home you can live a beautiful life in. That's the really exciting thing about building with Beechwood Homes. They'll build the home you want. So collect your thoughts, your ideas, your Pinterest boards, whatever, and let's talk. Because life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
It's value the Australian way at Coles with great fresh specials this week. Like juicy, loose white, seedless grapes, 100% Aussie and just $3.80 a kilo. This week at Coles. Offer ends Thursday.
Now, tomorrow, you can join the Little Heroes Foundation at Chanella's Prospect. This would be great. You can help raise funds to support seriously ill children.
Absolutely fantastic cause and a great event. The Little Heroes Foundation will be there from 10 to 12 noon with a sausage sizzle, plenty of goodies to sell and give away. And there'll be everything from board games to Batman premiere tickets. So join the fun and show your support.
I reckon there's some board games in your future this weekend, albeit not at this event.
Yeah, no. I'm not allowed out.
You're not allowed out.
Thanks for reminding me.
Sorry about that. You can also buy a Crows Team of 30 Years poster and have it signed by Hall of Famers Mark Beckley and Tony Modra. How about that?
That's right. Little Heroes Foundation, they raise funds to provide essential equipment and services for seriously ill children and their families to ensure that they have access to the very best care.
Join Bix and Modra at this fundraising event for an incredible cause. So it's on tomorrow from 10 to 12 noon. Chanella's Prospect, great supporters of the Little Heroes Foundation.
Good schnitzels are everywhere, but it's hard to find a schnitzel so big, crunchy and tasty. Survivors have warned, whatever you do, don't eat the day before. St Kilda Beach Hotel schnitzels are cut by the resident butcher. They're rolled in the crispiest crumbs, then deep fried to perfection, all in-house. Take the kids to St Kilda Playground, then cross the road to the St Kilda Hotel for the schnitzel of a lifetime. There's a table waiting for you at the St Kilda Beach Hotel.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Coming up to 3 minutes to 9, someone just started texting in the word fly. You know, living on the edge now that it's something that we've beeped out of discussion this morning on 5AA Breakfast. It says bleep me, fly, 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 fly. No, it's not on the banned word list.
It's a great old Australian term, that, I think.
The old blue bleep fly.
We don't need to bleep that.
No, I think we're living in...
We're not prudes.
We're all adults here, aren't we?
We are. We are all adults. Hey, I was actually toying with the idea of doing a Clive Palmer headline, but... You know, in the same way that you shouldn't speak ill of the dead, you shouldn't make fun of the unwell, regardless of whether you think that they're stark raving mad or not. But the catch cry for Clive Palmer's United Australia Party, we're not going to take it. I reckon old Clive might have been wondering yesterday whether, in terms of taking it, maybe in hindsight he should have taken coronavirus vaccine because he's landed himself in quite a bit of strife. 3 ambulances were called to his mansion on the Gold Coast, and he had to be rushed to hospital with COVID-like symptoms. There's no indication yet as to whether he's got it or not, but he had to pull out of his National Press Club address earlier this week, and he's now left hospital and he's back at home. But it sounds like he's awaiting test results. You'd have to think, as a morbidly obese 67-year-old unvaccinated man, he might have paid a little bit closer attention to scientific wisdom.
They're all the risk factors, aren't they?
He ticks every box.
Is COVID-like symptoms the nature of? Is it reported that way because you can't? It's not like you can ring up a hospital and get someone's medical condition confirmed. Is that why it's cagey?
Yeah. Well, a spokesman for the party was quoted as saying that he does not have COVID, but equally, it sounds like he's been tested for it and they're awaiting the results.
Well, they've been. I mean, it wouldn't be the first high-profile anti-vax politician or media person around the world that's ultimately succumbed to it. There was a lot, certainly in the early days, that did in that age bracket with some of those health factors in there as well. On lighter news, Gluttony, 10th birthday. It's on this weekend. The Fringe is all operating. It's back for 2021. Principal partners Bank SA. If you want to head along and you want to go see it, we got some text during the week from people who said they've never been before, but they'd like to win tickets. We gave Helen, who was in that camp, some tickets to see the excellent Monty Python show, Basil, a dinner with Basil Fawlty. You can go to adelaidefringe.com.au to get tickets. Coming up with Graham Goodings, more on the Ukraine developments, and you'll hear about that in the news with Mel Usher. And we played a little bit of a chat that's going to be on the program with a Ukrainian national that is going to be something you are going to want to listen to. All right, let's get a headline happening.
One small step for Nige, one giant leap for the rest of yous. First Australian lands on moon.
Just cut you off there.
Nige. Got to be Nige. Or Bazza.
Nige, Bazza, yeah. I always cut off the small print under the headline.
That's right. Giant leap for the rest of yous.
Have a great weekend, folks. We will catch you Monday morning from 6. And you and the family stay safe there, David, on the weekend.
Oh, yes. Yes, an abundance of caution.
Yeah,
Have fun leaving the house, Will.
Oh, you know me, I probably won't anyway.
Online